My husband cheated on me. He beat me. When I begged my mom for support, she said, "Isn't it because you're useless? You can't even hold on to one man. So him cheating and hitting me was my fault?" She continued. "Then you can only blame yourself for being a poor judge of character." I finally snapped. "You were the one who made me marry him." My mother stared at me, shocked. "If you didn't want to get married, could I have forced you? This was all your own choice. Don't blame your life's failures on me." I was speechless for a moment. She knew better than anyone when my life's failures had truly begun. That year, I was confident about the college entrance exams. But during the first test, English Lit, I found a slip of paper in my pencil case that wasn't mine. I forced myself to stay calm and waited until the exam was over to open it. Inside was a single line she had written. "Be careful, sweetie." This was the woman who never cared about my grades, who didn't give a damn about my life at school, who only ever cared about my cousin Stella. And she chose the SATs to pull a stunt like this. I thought I'd dodged a bullet, but after all my exams were finished, someone reported me. An investigation confirmed it. I was found guilty of cheating, and all my scores were nullified. I had checked the answers online. My scores were high enough to get into my dream Ivy League school, but everything was ruined. Because of her sentimental gesture, I lost the chance to even retake the year and try again. I was stuck with a high school diploma, struggling to find work, hitting walls everywhere I turned. The SAT cheater became the local gossip, a story they told for years. I could never escape this town. After my dad died, she pushed me even harder, demanding I marry Jeff, the man she'd picked out for me. She nagged me day and night, using filial piety as a weapon until she got what she wanted. And yet, she claimed it was all my own choice. When Jeff beat me, she told me to keep the peace, to not make a big deal out of it, ignoring the bruises on my body. When I ran back to her house, she would happily welcome Jeff back, cook him a table full of his favorite dishes, and urge us to make up quickly. When I found out he was cheating and wanted a divorce, she blamed me for not being able to hold on to my man. My heart died. I stopped hoping for her support. But just before I was about to leave for good, I overheard her talking to Stella. "Will Tanya really not hate me? Why would she? She forgave you for getting her SAT scores canceled, didn't she? It'll be the same this time." My mother's voice was panicked. "I did it. But you were the one who told me to do it. You reported her, and you introduced me to Jeff." Stella feignait de surprise. "But Auntie, didn't you ask me how you could keep her here? I was just joking." Only then did I understand. None of it was an accident. Every disaster was man-made. I drove home, completely shattered, and got into a car crash. When I opened my eyes again, I was back in my senior year of high school. Maybe even God couldn't stand to watch my pathetic, laughable life anymore. Given a second chance, I swore I would not repeat my mistakes. I'd forgotten most things, but I remembered the one event that had defined my life. You could say all my high school tragedies started from there. When Shane blocked my path, I knew it was time. He had a rebellious look on his face as he pointed at me, as if granting me a great favor. "Hey, I think you're not bad. Wanna go out with me? Never repeat my mistakes. It starts here." Gasps rippled through the crowd. I spotted Stella among them. She was too young then to hide the gloating in her eyes. I looked up at Shane and smiled sweetly. Sure. He was surprised I wasn't flattered or overwhelmed, but he didn't really care. He laughed dramatically, looking me up and down with disdain. "Looking at you now, you're not that pretty, and you seem boring. Let's just break up." And just like that, everyone understood it was a joke. The looks of envy instantly turned to mockery, laughing at me for not knowing my place, for thinking I could have a shot with him. But my reaction still wasn't what they'd hoped for. I was still smiling. "Sure," I said, my words unchanged. It seemed like I truly didn't care. Stella walked over then, taking my arm with a worried expression. "Tanya, you don't have to be like this. I know you're upset. After all, you've had a crush on him forever." Her words convinced everyone I was just saving face, pretending to be calm. I shook her hand off and waved to Kyle in the crowd. "A bet's a bet. $3,000 please." Everyone froze, including Stella. She couldn't understand how the scene she'd orchestrated had taken such a sharp turn. Kyle's family was rich. $3,000 was nothing to him. Don't have it on me. I'll Venmo you later. Then he turned to Shane. Did you two team up to scam me? You made me lose $3,000. Shane finally realized what was happening and glared at me. You played me. I shrugged. Don't look at me like that. Weren't you betting on me too? I'd call this a win-win. Yes, Shane's confession was nothing but a bet. He had bet I wouldn't reject him. In my past life, my rejection had wounded his pride, and he'd launched a massive, public campaign to pursue me. From start to finish, he only cared about his own feelings, never considering mine, causing me endless trouble. Not to mention his gang of followers who thought I was playing hard to get and targeted me at every turn. I'd asked my mother for help, but Stella had gotten to her first, convincing her I was being promiscuous and chasing after boys at school. She called me shameless and said I should just quit school and get married. But thinking back now, what did any of that have to do with me? It was a disaster that fell from the sky. I leaned closer to him and whispered, I didn't want to do this, but you started it. This is just self-defense. You're not gonna be a sore loser and get people to beat me up, are you? I knew that once I said that, he wouldn't do it, whether he'd planned to or not. Ignoring his fiery gaze, I started setting a trap for Stella. Let me tell you a secret. Today was all a setup by someone who wanted to see you humiliated. Instead of staring at me, you should think about who suggested you approach me in the first place, then secretly tipped me off to use you. That's right. If I hadn't known about his bet, how could I have been prepared to embarrass him? Seeing the look of realization on his face, I smiled, satisfied. Stella, last time you instigated this and then faded into the background. When I found out and told my mom, she brushed it off with a simple, it was just a joke. My situation, my pain, all dismissed as a joke. A joke? Stella, let's see if you can still laugh this time around. Stella found me when I was studying vocabulary. In my past life, after my SAT dreams were crushed, I abandoned all of this. If I'd known I'd get a second chance, I would have studied my Princeton review books every single day. The moment she entered my room, she became a desktop cleaner, sweeping everything off my desk. Tanya, what the hell did you say to Shane? Why did he come looking for me saying he's going to make me pay? My parents followed her in. My mother looked at me, her eyes full of disappointment. Tanya, how could you team up with someone else to bully your cousin? When I was wronged, my cousin was just joking. When she was wronged, I was teaming up with others to bully her. I looked at the mess on the floor, but I felt calm. I had long accepted the fact that I wasn't the favorite. I calmly told them everything. I just got a tip off, and when they tried to prank me, I turned the tables on them. It was just a joke. Do you have to bully your own family like this? My father said. A joke? Do you see me laughing? I pointed to the floor, feigning confusion. And what does this have to do with my cousin? I just told Shane that thanks to a tip, we were even. I didn't say anything else. Maybe one of your friends was joking with you and you misunderstood. They were speechless. Stella stomped her foot in frustration and ran out. Before my parents left, I asked if they could install a lock on my door. They didn't agree. My room used to have a lock, but they took it off. I wasn't even allowed to close my door when I was home, so they could walk in and out whenever they wanted without knocking like it was a public space. This was one reason I never kept a diary. In their eyes, I wasn't so much their child as their property. I didn't need my own thoughts or ideas, I just needed to obey them. That's why when I expressed my desire to go to a university far away, my mother was willing to destroy me just to keep me by her side. But I wouldn't let them have their way. I had already guessed that Stella was behind the bullying I endured in my past life. It was a disaster that had nothing to do with me. Yet those people treated me like an enemy, targeting me relentlessly. There was always ink, chalk dust, or strange dried liquids on my desk. My homework, once handed in, would come back covered in vile words. Or just like now, the blackboard was covered with phrases like, Tanya is a whore, shameless, cheap, and so on. When I walked into the classroom, some people looked worried, while others had a look of anticipation. But to everyone's surprise, I didn't angrily demand to know who did it. nor did I rush to erase the words. I calmly walked to my seat and started my morning reading as usual. As the numbers on the digital clock above the blackboard ticked by, some people started getting restless. They exchanged glances and finally, one person went up with a board eraser. I smiled. "Leo, it's not your turn to clean the board. What are you doing?" He looked flustered. "It's not good to leave these words up here, is it?" I was still smiling, but my voice turned cold, loud enough for everyone in the room to hear. "There's nothing wrong with it. Leave it. Unless you were the one who wrote them?" He quickly denied it. "If you didn't write it, why are you erasing it? Nobody touches it. Whoever erases it, I'll assume is the one who wrote it." He was intimidated and slunk back to his seat. The unwritten rule was that these little pranks had to be done secretly, not out in the open where a teacher could see. Even if a teacher saw, it had to be passed off as joking around. But this had clearly crossed a line. The teacher could arrive at any moment. Finally, someone couldn't take it anymore and went up to wipe the blackboard clean. It was one of Stella's admirers, a very average-looking guy, average looks, grades, and family background. Stella looked down on him, but was happy to string him along to do her dirty work. Too bad for him, they never ended up together. I walked right up to him. "Jason, was it you?" His eyes darted away, but he forced himself to act tough. "What if it was? You mess with Shane. Don't you know your place?" He was trying to use Shane's name to scare me off. I smiled, grabbed him by the collar, and kicked him straight into Shane's classroom next door. Stella was there too, of course. Shane hadn't arrived yet, but that didn't matter. Even though the class had gone silent the moment I kicked the door open, I slapped the teacher's desk for emphasis. "Your boy Shane lost a bet. He's got the guts to make a bet but not the balls to admit he lost, so he sends his lackey to mess with me? Do me a favor and tell him if you can't handle losing, don't play." What a coward. I became famous in the truest sense of the word, so famous that my homeroom teacher called me in for a talk. Both our parents were called. Jason's mother was also a very ordinary-looking woman, probably a housewife, and seemed a bit overwhelmed. My parents couldn't get away from work and would be late. In front of the teacher and his mother, Jason completely changed his story. "I was just joking with a classmate. You overreacted." He looked down, appearing very wronged. His mother nodded along. "Yes, teacher, my son is usually the most well-behaved boy. This must be a misunderstanding." The homeroom teacher looked at me. "Classmates should be friendly with each other. Don't be so aggressive. Apologize to each other, write a self-criticism essay, and read it at the Monday morning assembly. Then we'll let this go." "So everyone loves to joke, huh? You all have such a weird sense of humor." I smirked coldly. "Fine. Jason, repeat your joke to your mom, and we'll call it even." He snapped his head up, his expression turning angry. My voice was calm. "Some jokes, if you wouldn't say them to your own mother, you shouldn't say them to other girls. Since you think it was a joke, are you going to say it now, or should I?" He stammered, unable to get a word out. "He won't say it, so I will." I repeated the words from the blackboard, one by one. His mother finally understood what her precious son had done. She was shaking with anger. Then I gave him an out. "I know this wasn't your idea. Someone else put you up to it, right? Who was it? Tell me, and I won't press charges." Just as he was hesitating, about to speak, there was a knock on the door. "Excuse me," Shane called out, walking in without waiting for the teacher's permission. He must have been listening for a while. He went straight to the point. "No need. I know who it was." He walked up to Jason, looking down at him. "Stella, right?" He looked at me, a little exasperated. Shane always play to win." He'd already told everyone that no one was to bother me again. Shane had a massive ego. Dragging him into this was finally paying off. I didn't care about these petty games anymore, but flies, while not fatal, are disgusting. They use their connections, and so can I. It was a good investment of my time. Now I wouldn't have to waste study hours dealing with this crap. Just as I was thinking this, a man burst into the room and slapped me across the face. "You ungrateful brat. Teaming up with others to spread rumors about your cousin. How did I end up with a daughter like you? Apologize to your cousin now." My mother didn't stop him. She just told the teacher I was being unreasonable, and that they would discipline me properly. It seemed Shane had spread the word about what Stella did. My nose felt hot, and a trickle of blood ran down. I could taste it in my throat. I laughed coldly inside, a wave of sadness washing over me. I'd like to know that too. How did I end up with parents like you? Everyone in the room was stunned. This turn of events was completely unexpected. I was the calmest person there. Taking a tissue from my pocket, I pressed it to my bleeding nose and looked at the teacher. Is it still possible to apply for a dorm room? I lowered my eyes. It's not very convenient for me to study at home. The reason why should be clear to everyone now. The emotional abuse at home was terrifying. The homeroom teacher was still stunned. Everything had happened so fast, he hadn't even had a chance to smooth things over. What do you mean? Are we not feeding you or clothing you? You slander your cousin, and now you're playing the victim, he said, raising his hand to slap my back, but Shane stepped in and blocked it. She hasn't even said a word, and he's already decided everything. At such a young age, hanging out with shady people. I could raise a dog, and it would at least wag its tail at me. Raising you just brings shame to me. You're not going to school for the next 2 days. Come home with me, he said, reaching for me. The homeroom teacher finally snapped out of it and stood between us. Jason's mom quickly pulled me aside. Mr. Tan, I think you've misunderstood. The reason you were called here today is not because Tanya did something wrong. We don't believe in hitting children here. Shane wasn't afraid of him at all. He took a step forward, his height intimidating my father, who subconsciously retreated. I played a joke on your daughter earlier. My apologies. As for Stella, I was the one who spread that information, not Tanya. And they weren't rumors, it was the truth. If you've got a problem, take it up with me. What kind of man takes it out on his own family? Jason's mom instinctively patted my shoulder, as if to comfort me. In her arms, I actually felt a warmth. Meanwhile, my own mother was only worried that this hot-headed student would hit her husband. Even if I were beaten, she would just stand by and tell me to hurry up and admit I was wrong. I had told myself I'd accepted not being the favorite, but being held by a stranger now, my heart trembled, and I almost cried. Actually, it was all going perfectly just as I'd planned. I had gained everyone's sympathy and, at the same time, escaped that house before the SATs, so I could study in peace. They had helped me show everyone that my parents were pieces of shit, and Stella was the one stirring the pot. Perfect. I was very satisfied with the outcome. After the teacher clarified the situation, my parents mumbled a few things. My mom in particular kept muttering, "How could that be? Teacher, are you sure you're not mistaken? How could that be?" In the end, I got what I wanted. A dorm room. My living expenses would be passed on to me by the teacher. My parents still cared about their reputation, so they wouldn't short me on money, which meant I wouldn't have to starve myself before the exams. After the rose-tinted glasses came off, Jason apologized to me. He said he was sorry, he didn't know Stella was that kind of person, and he didn't know my family was like that. I didn't accept, forgive, or care. Right now, I only cared about myself. I wanted to hold my future firmly in my own hands. If Stella and those two could leave me alone, I probably wouldn't retaliate. For now, time in senior year is precious. After that, I studied like crazy, trying to absorb as much knowledge as possible in the shortest amount of time. Stella's downfall was a minor issue. More importantly, everyone knew she had offended Shane, so her situation at school wasn't great. Actually, I wasn't much better off. But because of what Shane had said, no one bothered me openly. People thought I had caught Shane's eye, while Stella had offended him. It was a logical conclusion. For instance, right now, he wasn't even in our class, but he was brazenly sitting here, taking someone else's seat without a hint of guilt, asking me when I'd be done studying. I didn't even look up. Never done. There's always more to learn. He stared at me for a long time. Then, the usually arrogant and brash young master lowered his voice. "Stella said you've always had a crush on me. Is that true?" My hand paused. I finally looked up and saw a pair of eyes trying hard to look calm, but hiding a glimmer of hope. I looked back down at my work. "She wanted to see you make a fool of yourself. Do you really think anything she tells you is true?" There was a long silence, then he said, "Oh." I didn't feel awkward or guilty. My tone was flat. "You thought someone liked you, but you didn't feel the same, so you could play that kind of joke? Shane, I will never like you." His face paled, as if he was finally realizing what he had done back then. But you didn't fall for it, and you even made her lose face." I continued calmly. "The fact that I wasn't tricked by you wasn't because you had a change of heart, but because I dodged it. If you hadn't, for some inexplicable reason, taken an interest in me, and I had rejected you that day, what difference would there be between my situation now and Stella's? Shane, be a better person from now on. Be kinder to strangers. Even love starts with being strangers." So he understood. I would never like him. I once read something that I really liked. A person is a gun found on the road during the summer when they are 13 or 14. Fearless, they pull the trigger. No one dies, no one is hurt. They think they fired a blank. Later, at 30 or older, walking down the street, they hear a faint whistling sound behind them. They stop, turn around, and the bullet hits them right between the eyes. I won't seek revenge for things that didn't happen. This life, he brought me trouble, but he also solved my trouble. Add this piece of advice to the mix, and we're even. After moving into the dorm, I was the first to arrive every day and the last to leave. The classroom key was even entrusted to me. Everyone saw how hard I was working. After Shane stopped bothering me, I studied even more intensely, wishing I could sleep with my workbook as a pillow. I didn't expect to be targeted again. Given Stella's current situation, it was hard for her to find helpers. But the enemy of my enemy is my friend. Because of Shane, I had been forced into the spotlight, and that's what attracted this trouble. That day, I arrived first at the classroom as usual. I reviewed the analysis of the classic poems I memorized last night. Then, as the student on duty, I cleaned up. Once most people had arrived, I prepared for morning reading. Suddenly someone shouted, "My money's gone." Everyone gathered around, asking how much, what money, when it was lost. He explained that he forgot to take it home last night, and discovered it was gone this morning. Finally, he asked who was the last to leave last night, and who was the first to arrive today. So this was aimed at me. This didn't happen in my past life. A total of $3,000 was missing. Wendy stood in front of my desk, looking down at me. "Tanya, was it you?" I looked up at her, pretending to be sleepy, but a sarcastic look slipped out. I said calmly, $3,000 is not a small amount. We should call the police." Hearing the word police, her eyes darted away, but she raised her voice to hide her nervousness. "Who knows if you're just trying to stall for time to hide the stolen money? Tanya, if you have a clear conscience, open your bag and let us see." So the money was in my bag. Wendy's uncle was in charge of security. As long as she insisted the cameras were broken, no one could prove my innocence. For something like this to happen right before the SATs, I would either be sent home or have to endure the gossip at school, which would definitely affect my studies. It would also leave a permanent stain on my record. Wendy and Stella were really meant to be friends. They weren't into petty pranks, they went straight for ruining people's futures. "Sigh, why did you have to mess with me? I just wanted to study." Wendy reached for the bag hanging on the side of my desk. I put my hand up to stop her. "Wendy, I suggest you think this through." She froze for a second, then, furious at being intimidated by someone like me, she pushed my hand aside and grabbed the canvas bag. The bag didn't have a zipper. She tipped it over, and everything fell out. The most conspicuous item was a small stack of crisp $100 bills. She quickly held it up and shouted, "I knew it. Tanya, you can't just steal from your classmates, even if you're poor." The homeroom teacher finally arrived. Seeing the chaotic scene, he told us to return to our seats for morning reading. Wendy wasn't going to let it go. She didn't want the teacher to smooth things over and let me off easy. She loudly reported me for stealing money. The homeroom teacher looked at me questioningly. I shook my head at him. "Teacher, I didn't do it." Wendy interrupted my defense. "We found the stuff in your bag and you're still denying it?" "Teacher, her behavior is truly despicable." I shrugged. "Check the cameras. Call the police. I won't admit to something I didn't do." She snorted contemptuously. Fine, let's check. She was fearless because she knew there was nothing to see. I looked at the homeroom teacher. Neither of us has an objection. Teacher, let's check the cameras. The homeroom teacher thought for a moment, probably realizing the seriousness of the situation, and nodded. Then, under everyone's watchful eyes, he took out his phone and opened an app. Wendy finally realized something was wrong. She stammered. Teacher, to check the cameras, shouldn't we go to the security office? The teacher, fumbling a bit with the app, explained, the school is planning to upgrade the surveillance system. You can view it from your phone. It's very convenient. They're starting the trial with our class. Wendy started to panic. She blurted out that it was fine, she wouldn't press the issue. She didn't know that she had just missed her last chance to confess. I retorted, you want to drop it, but I don't. Today someone put stolen money in my bag and tells me to drop it. Tomorrow someone puts something else in my bag. Should I drop that too? Teacher, please get to the bottom of this for me. Finally, amidst her growing anxiety, we saw it. After I had left my seat, someone quietly approached my desk, looked around to see if anyone was watching, and then placed a small stack of cash into my bag. It was Wendy. Before the homeroom teacher and I could say anything, she lunged forward. It wasn't me. It was Stella. Stella made me do it. This was a serious incident. After the investigation, both Wendy and Stella were told to go home and reflect on their actions. The homeroom teacher asked us not to spread it around, for fear of damaging the school's reputation. I said as long as it went on their permanent records, I wouldn't say anything. After careful consideration, he agreed. Of course, I couldn't see whether it was actually recorded or if he was just saying that. But it didn't matter. I called the salesman I had been in touch with before. He answered quickly after all. I had given him a great lead when he was struggling with sales. In my past life, our school eventually switched to this type of surveillance system. This time, it just happened a little earlier. My opponents weren't robots who just followed procedures. I naturally had to be more vigilant, which is why I made these arrangements in advance. Hello, Mr. Davis, how have sales been? His voice was full of gratitude. Thanks to you. The pitch you taught me is working wonders. Probably because of his profession, he addressed me, a high school student, with formal respect. I tapped my fingers on the phone. Want to take it to the next level? He didn't hesitate. Yes. So I told him what happened today. See, it was because of your product that a malicious bullying incident was stopped. I wonder how schools without your product would handle such situations. If some schools refused to install them, what kind of motives could they possibly have? I'd said enough. He got it. He got it. A post on X, written in the tone of a parent, went viral. It praised the school for using modern technology to ensure children's safety, almost completely eliminating the possibility of campus bullying. The parent felt at ease sending their child to such a school. What happened next is probably what you'd expect. Wendy and Stella were quickly exposed online. This time, it was definitely going on their records. And the school, far from suffering any negative impact, was praised by many parents for being impartial and willing to investigate, making them feel completely secure about sending their children there. Mr. Davis's product sales exploded. If I hadn't always used a public phone, making it so only I could contact him, he would have called me for 3 days straight to thank me. Hanging up, I recalled his enthusiasm and still found it a bit overwhelming. He must have made a lot of money. I was jealous. I should buy a phone after the SATs. The SATs were just a few days away. At first, it felt like I could never study enough, but now I felt confident. I don't know if time passed quickly or slowly. The teacher called me into her office and asked about my plans. The day students had all left. Was I going home or staying in the dorm? I told her neither. I had booked a hotel for a few days. Thanks to Kyle's $3,000. The homeroom teacher reminded me not to oversleep if I was alone, and to have someone wake me up. I agreed, but if I asked them to wake me, I'd be thankful if they didn't just turn off my alarm. However, when my parents found out, they called the homeroom teacher and told me to come home, to give my room to my cousin. Your cousin has been stressed lately and is a light sleeper. You have a room at home, so come back and stay, my mom said. You know perfectly well why she's stressed, don't you? My knuckles turned white from clenching my fist. Mom, I've always wanted to ask you. I'm your daughter, so why are you so biased towards my cousin? Besides, Stella is Dad's relative. What does she have to do with you? There was a long silence on her end. Finally, she told me that Stella wasn't my cousin, but my biological sister. My first thought was that she was an illegitimate child, but what she said next completely blew my mind. Back then, they couldn't have children, so your grandmother decided that we should give our first child to your uncle, to take care of him in his old age. Otherwise, you might not even exist. Tanya, Mom knows you've been wronged all these years, but ultimately, our family let Stella down. She's your older sister. Don't take it to heart. I was stunned for a long time before I found my voice. No wonder she hated me so much. No wonder my parents were so tolerant of her. Even more so than of their own daughter. Because she was their child too. That explained everything. Stella was already someone else's child, so they had to please her, to compensate her, to keep her in their lives. Plus, my uncle was very wealthy. If Stella inherited his fortune, and was still willing to acknowledge them, their lives would be much better. And I was their own. No matter how they hit or scolded me, I would always come back to this family. I was their safety net, their fallback plan if Stella refused to come back. So in my past life, when they knew I wanted to go to a faraway university, my mother, fearing I would escape her control, used that method. Knowing Stella resented me, they pushed me forward for her to vent her frustrations on, so the three of them could still be a happy family. They weren't unaware that I had been wronged all these years. But in favoring her at my expense, how much of it was out of love? And how much was a calculated plan to secure her inheritance? I used to think they were just confused, but now I realized they were shrewd beyond belief. When I got home, I saw the lock that had been removed was reinstalled. I didn't flatter myself into thinking it was for me. I understood immediately. You let Stella stay in my room while I was gone? My mother gave a sheepish smile. Well, you're sisters, so it doesn't matter, right? I opened the closet, and sure enough, it was full of her clothes. My clothes were balled up and thrown in a corner like a pile of trash. That evening, my mother asked me what university I wanted to apply to. Unlike my past life, I didn't tell her the truth. I named a university that was very close by. I'll apply somewhere close, I said, so I can come home often. She happily put some food in my bowl. Yes, close to home is good. I changed the subject. Of course, if my scores are high enough, I'd still like to go to a better university. What do you think, Mom? I stared directly at her. What would a normal mother do? Tell me to do my best? Encourage me? After spending so much time with these parents, I didn't even know how normal parents and children interacted. She got flustered under my gaze and kept muttering, "Close is better." She ate quickly. My mother didn't want me to be too successful. Just above average was good enough, so she could always keep me on a leash. On the morning of the SATs, I woke up right on time. On a normal day, the house would have been noisy by now. Even on weekends, I couldn't sleep in peacefully. My mother would always wake me up. But today, the house was eerily quiet, as if they were deliberately trying to make me miss the exam. The moment I stepped out of my room, she appeared, smiling, telling me she was just about to wake me. She handed me a bottle of fresh milk, but it was already opened. I waved my hand. I'm running late. I'll just grab something on the way. She insisted on pushing the bottle into my hand. Drink a little. It's nutritious. I took it and left, pretending to drink it on the way. Of course, I wouldn't drink it. Who knew what was inside? When I got to the testing center, I checked my pencil case, crumpled up the note that had already ruined my life once, and threw it in the trash without even looking at it. I repeated to myself, I will not repeat my mistakes. I won't give you the chance to hurt me anymore. Mom, I really don't love you anymore. Taking the SATs again, I was originally very nervous. But when I actually picked up my pen and started writing, I found that I had strangely calmed down. When the final bell rang, it was over without a hitch. None of what happened in my past life occurred. When I got home, I saw Stella crying in my mother's arms, looking incredibly upset. When she saw me, hatred flared in her eyes, and she lunged at me. It's all your fault. You made me miss the morning session. Why? You're the one who shouldn't have been able to take the test. Today, when she was in the hotel elevator, it malfunctioned, trapping her inside. And because she was on her way to an exam, she didn't even have her phone. The hotel was reluctant to call the fire department, afraid of damaging the elevator, so they just waited until a repairman came to open it. Stella missed the first part of the exam. That's right. I did it on purpose. She liked to take my things, so I let her. This incident was a big deal in my past life because even though no one was hurt, everyone in the elevator missed their exam. And in the end, nothing came of it. So I remembered it clearly. I even hired someone to prevent anyone from getting on the elevator before it malfunctioned. Right until Stella got on. She was pretty unlucky, like she won the lottery. Luck was on my side. I pretended not to know anything and dodged her attack, glaring at my mother. What are you talking about? Let's talk about that later. Mom, what did you put in my pencil case? Don't you know that could be considered cheating? She exchanged a look with Stella before putting on a panicked expression. What should we do? You weren't seen, were you? I sighed. I don't think so. I was very careful. Just don't do that again. It scared me to death in the middle of the exam. Seeing their expressions, I knew I could now safely cheat. After all, watching me fall from grace would be Stella's greatest pleasure. When the bell for the last exam rang, I completely relaxed. It was all over. Later, an investigation team came to see me, saying someone had reported me for cheating. I cooperated fully. Unlike my past life, no matter how they reviewed the surveillance footage, I was completely clean. It was a close call, but I was fine. Stella, however, didn't believe it. She always thought I was just being stubborn. She repeatedly told others I had cheated, then hypocritically expressed her sympathy. We all know how hard you worked, it's such a pity. I told her I didn't cheat. She smiled and comforted me, saying she knew I was innocent and was waiting for my acceptance letter. The day the SAT scores were released, she invited a lot of people to our house, saying it was a celebration. In front of everyone, she asked me to check my score on the spot. Let my friends see just how well you did. After seeing the score, her smile froze. How is that possible? It's impossible. Because not only was my score there, but it was high about what I had estimated. I knew I had a solid shot at the university I wanted. I've heard you can use the F12 trick to change the page. Did your sister change her score? One of her friends asked. At that, their expressions turned contemptuous, and Stella regained her confidence. Tanya, I know you're upset, but you can't lie like this. What if you get your parents' hopes up for nothing? How sad would that be? I smiled. Enough about me. The scores are out. Aren't you going to check yours, cousin? She stiffened. Urged on by her friends, she dawdled, making excuses about a bad internet connection, saying she'd check later. One of her friends, a direct and quick-acting person, checked for her. Missing one exam score had a huge impact on her morale, and she didn't do well on the rest. The final result was predictable. She'd be lucky to get into community college. He then checked my score again. It was the same. I hadn't used developer mode to modify the web page. The difference was clear. Stella completely lost it. She went to report me herself. There was no way I could have gotten away with it, unless the note that was supposed to be in my pencil case was never there. Finally realizing I had tricked them, she was furious. After kicking everyone out, she confronted me like a madwoman. You knew all along? You were playing me? Was me getting trapped you're doing too? Of course, I wouldn't admit it. I just looked at her innocently. What are you talking about, cousin? You were the one who insisted on staying at a hotel, so I gave you my booking. How could I have known in advance that the elevator would break down, and that you would happen to be there and get on that specific one? No matter how she investigated, she would never find anything, because it was officially just an accident. When it was time to declare my major, my mom gave me a lot of suggestions, all for universities that were very close to home. Close enough that I wouldn't even need to live in a dorm. But they were far from the university I wanted. Hey, they're all the same. You can always go to grad school later. Tanya, you've never been so far from home. Won't you be scared? I looked at her and smiled. Not at all. In fact, I was thinking the farther, the better. Stella was still at home. She hadn't left. Her voice was hoarse. That night, someone quietly used a key to enter my room, opened a drawer, and started rummaging through it. I turned on the light and saw the person's true form. It was my mom. "Oh, did I wake you? Mom's just looking for something. I'll be gone in a minute." Looking for something? Looking for the security token, right? The thing you needed to submit college applications. I smiled as I watched her leave the room, not telling her that she would never find that card. I had thrown it away. The moment I got it, I didn't show it to anyone. I memorized the numbers and then tossed it. I applied to a university far, far away. I would never give anyone the chance to destroy me again. Along with my acceptance letter came a group of reporters. Stella had, of course, called them. She wanted to use public opinion to ruin me. Cousin sabotages me out of jealousy, causing me to miss my SATs. What a juicy headline. Too bad for her. A little investigation would show it was a complete accident. She was just unlucky. In return, I pulled out a voice recorder and pushed her into an even deeper hell. She definitely wants to escape this house. Don't you know how you've treated her all these years? But this was all for you, Stella. What's that got to do with me, Auntie? What did you call me? How can you call me Auntie? You blame me? Yes, I blame you. You think a few small favors will make me accept you? In your dreams. So what now? Your real daughter is estranged from you. She'll definitely take the first chance she gets to go to a university far away and never come back, right? Then what do we do? How can we make Tanya stay? I don't know. It's not like you can secretly put an encouraging note in her pencil case and then report her for cheating, right? The recording ended abruptly. Her demanding a lock on her door was probably because she sensed someone had been in her room. In fact, it wasn't her imagination. I had come back one day specifically to plant this recorder. Luckily, Stella had a habit of taking my things and swapping them. Otherwise, once the door was locked, I wouldn't have known how to get it back. Then I mentioned the investigation team's previous visit. The reporters interviewing me exchanged a look. They were all thinking the same thing. This is a big story. I smiled faintly. Stella, Mom, Dad, you're all about to be famous. Their real little family of 3 did indeed become famous. After all, a story like this was unheard of, terrifying. What kind of parents are these? This cousin is so twisted. Such a vicious plan, just to stop her cousin from taking the SATs. If it was to stop her from cheating, she wouldn't even be able to reapply. And then this person gets trapped in an elevator at a hotel and misses her own exam. I call that karma. Stella was on the verge of a breakdown, but anyone who heard the story just said she brought it on herself. To make me suffer, she even burned my acceptance letter. It's all your fault I couldn't take the SATs, and now I'm being cyberbullied. Why do you get to happily enjoy college life? I won't allow it. I looked at my mom. She guiltily avoided my gaze. Your cousin is just joking. Same old story. I shrugged. All right, it's fine. It'll just be a little more troublesome when I register for classes. Both of them froze. What era do you think this is? It's the 21st century. Do you really think they won't let you enroll without the physical acceptance letter? While they were overwhelmed by the public backlash, I escaped. This time it was my acceptance letter. Next time, it could be me they were coming for. Once I was settled, I used a payphone to call them. What did you say to your uncle? Why did he send Stella back? My dad's voice sounded like he wanted to eat me alive. His daughter is missing, and his first reaction isn't to ask where I am, but what I said to his brother. Of course, I told him all about your plans. He's not dead yet, and you're already eyeing his inheritance. He can't be too happy about that. Dad, all these years you've been a violent, arrogant coward who hides behind women. No wonder Grandma favored Uncle and didn't like you. He was so angry his breathing became heavy. Fine. Fine. You've grown up. Let's see how you go to college without me paying your tuition. Haha, I laughed. You don't need to worry about that. I'll figure it out myself. Don't look for me anymore. If you need anything, just ask Stella. She's your daughter too, right? When it's time for me to send support payments, I'll have my lawyer send them to you. With that, I hung up. Be angry. Go ahead and be angry. After all those years of scheming, now you have nothing. Why would my uncle leave his fortune to an ungrateful snake? So, if you want revenge, you have to take away what's most important to them. Making them regret losing me? That's nothing. Money, self-interest, people like them only love themselves. As for Stella, I'm just too kind. I returned her most cherished parents to her. Wasn't that what she resented me for all these years? Well then, please, you pot stirrer, stay firmly tied to them. As for me, I'm flying far away. The commission Mr. Davis gave me was more than enough for tuition, with about $30,000 left over. I knew he must have made a lot. Many years later, I saw Jeff again, the husband from my past life who beat and cheated on me. In that life, we met through a blind date. This time, he was pursuing me. Jeff put on a good act. If I didn't already know what kind of person he was, I might have been fooled by his facade. I had been ignoring him, which finally provoked him. One night, he ambushed me on my way home, but I easily subdued him. After starting college, I took up kickboxing. I could take on 8 guys like him. The police discovered he was in contact with Stella. The plan was for Jeff to trick me and get my assets. Back then, I got into my dream university, chose my favorite major, and even started a company with friends. To say I'm a little successful now wouldn't be bragging. No wonder he found me even though I had moved so far away. They were after me from the start. I sent them both to prison. Then one day, I got a call from my mom. I don't know how she got my number. Hello Tanya, it's Mom. I glanced at the number. It looked familiar. It wasn't a scam. Oh, you need support payments? The previous ones were sent on time. I'll be blocking this number in a minute. She started crying on the other end, saying she was wrong, that she regretted it, and hoped I would forgive her. She said Stella was selfish and rebellious, not caring for them at all, even stealing their money for extravagant spending. She said Dad missed me too, and his health had been poor these last couple of years, and he wanted me to come back and see them. I told them I already knew Stella was in prison, that I was the one who put her there. She screamed hysterically, "Your own sister. She's in prison because of you. How could you be so heartless?" I said flatly, "Not because of me, because she committed a crime. That's all. Blocking you now. If you call again, I'm changing my number." Regret? In my last life, she never once said she regretted anything, right up until I died. It's just that this time, they didn't get what they wanted. I said I would not repeat my mistakes. This life, I fought my way out of that house, out of the past. I will live only for myself. Let's clear our minds and listen to the next story. It was drizzling the day we moved. It took Leo and me 3 years of scrimping and saving for the down payment, but we finally bought this 3-bedroom, 1,300 square foot apartment in a nice neighborhood on the edge of the city. The mortgage was $4,000 a month. Our combined salaries were $7,500, so after the mortgage and living expenses, we'd be lucky to have $1,500 left over each month. But I was still happy. This was our home, a home that truly belonged to us. Leo carried the last box through the door, wiping sweat from his brow. "Claire, we're finally done." I stood in the middle of the living room, looking at the furniture we hadn't even had time to arrange yet, a warm feeling spreading through me. It was exhausting, but it was worth it. "Honey, let's order takeout tonight to celebrate." Leo nodded and came over to hug me. From now on, this is our little nest. I leaned against his chest, smelling his familiar scent. For this apartment, we ate ramen and cabbage for 3 years. My lunch every day was a $5 rice bowl. He even quit smoking. My mom said I was a fool for marrying an ordinary programmer like Leo, that he had no future. But I just loved how down-to-earth he was, unlike the boyfriends of my colleagues who talked a big game, but couldn't even come up with a down payment. Leo didn't say much, but he promised me a home, and he delivered. At 8 that night, we ordered a feast: spicy stir-fry, braised pork, roasted chicken, and a bottle of red wine. It was the most luxurious meal we'd had in 3 years. Leo poured me a glass of wine. "Claire, thank you for putting up with 3 years of hardship with me." I raised my glass. "Silly, we're husband and wife. Shouldn't we strive together?" After a few glasses, We were both a little tipsy. Leo's face was flushed, his eyes full of tenderness. Claire, I love you. I love you too, Leo. We kissed, and in that moment, I felt like all the effort had been worth it. The next morning, I was still asleep when I heard a noise in the living room. No, it was the sound of a key in the lock. I shot awake, checked the time. It was only 7 in the morning. Leo was still sleeping. I tiptoed to the bedroom door and peeked through the crack. Leo's mom. It was Leo's mother. How did she have a key to our place? While I was still wondering, I saw his sister, Leah, and his brother, Ken, following behind her. Leo was dragging a suitcase, and Ken's wife was holding their baby, also carrying large bags. What was going on? I quickly shook Leo awake. Honey, your mom's here, and she brought Leah and their family. Leo sat up, groggy. Huh. My mom. The voices in the living room grew louder. Leah said loudly, Mom, this apartment is great, so much bigger than our place. Ken's wife added, Yeah, Mom, this renovation looks really expensive. Leo's mother said proudly, Of course, Leo and Claire spent a lot of money on it. This room is for Leah, and that room is for Ken's family. My heart sank. What did she mean? She was going to have Leah and Ken live with us? Leo heard it too, and his expression soured. He got out of bed, got dressed, and walked out. Mom, what are you guys doing here? Leo's mother was thrilled to see him. Leo, I came to see your new apartment. Leah and Ken wanted to see it too, so we all came together. Leo frowned. Mom, how do you have a key? When you guys were moving yesterday, I had the locksmith make a few extra copies. We're all family, it's just more convenient. I stood in the bedroom doorway, hearing everything clearly. When did she have keys made? She wasn't even there when we moved. Leo clearly realized the problem too. Mom, when did you get keys made? How come I didn't know? Leah cut in. Bro, Mom was just worried about you. What's the big deal about a few extra keys? Besides, we're not strangers. Ken also chimed in. Yeah, bro, why get so worked up over something like this with family? I couldn't hold it in any longer. I walked out of the bedroom. Hello, Mom. Leo's mother's smile stiffened slightly when she saw me. Claire, you're up. I looked at the luggage filling the living room and suppressed my anger. May I ask what this is all about? Oh, Leah recently changed jobs and has nowhere to stay for now, so I told her she could stay with you guys for a few days. Ken's house is being renovated, so they'll stay for a few days too. A few days? Looking at them, it seemed like they were planning to move in permanently. I took a deep breath. Mom, we just moved in, and we haven't even finished unpacking. Plus, the apartment only has 2 bedrooms. We live in one, and the other is a study. Leah immediately said, It's fine, sister-in-law. Leah can sleep on the sofa. Ken's wife added, Yes, sister-in-law, we won't be any trouble. Won't be any trouble? A family of 3 living in my living room, and that's not trouble? Leo could see I was unhappy. Mom, how about this? I'll rent an apartment for Leah, and Ken's family can stay in a hotel. I'll pay for it. Leo's mother's face fell instantly. Leo, what are you trying to say? You won't even let your own sister and brother-in-law stay? Do you have any heart? Leah said pitifully, Bro, I'm just staying for a few days. Why are you so unwelcoming? Ken was more direct. Bro, now that you're rich, you look down on us? I watched as Leo was rendered speechless by their accusations, and my anger boiled over. What do you mean look down on them? What do you mean rich? We bought this apartment by saving every penny for 3 years, and we still have a mortgage of $4,000 a month to pay for the next 25 years. Seeing Leo's silence, his mother grew bolder. Leo, have you forgotten how Leah took care of you when you were kids? And Ken, he's in a tough spot now. If you, his older brother, don't help him, who will? Besides, this apartment is in your name. What right does Claire, an outsider, have to object? An outsider? I'm an outsider? I've been married to Leo for 3 years, struggled alongside him to buy this apartment, and to her, I'm an outsider. And Leah and Ken, these 2 who still live off their parents, are considered family. I was trembling with anger, but I managed to keep my voice steady. Mom, the deed has both my name and Leo's name on it. This is our marital home, not a hotel. Leo's mother was taken aback. clearly not expecting my name to be on the deed, but she quickly regained her mighty. So what if your name is on it? You married into our family, so you have to follow our rules. What's wrong with family living together? It's lively, isn't it? Lively? The 2-bedroom apartment that Leo and I worked so hard for, now housing their family of 7? All our private space gone. And she calls that lively? Leo finally spoke up. Mom, how about this? You guys stay for a few days, and I'll figure something out. I looked at him in disbelief. He actually agreed. The moment Leo agreed to let them stay, my heart turned completely cold. For 3 years, I thought I knew this man. I thought he would protect me, that he would protect our little home. But faced with his mother's emotional blackmail, he chose to compromise. Leah clapped her hands happily. Great. Thank you, brother. Ken also breathed a sigh of relief. Bro, I knew you wouldn't leave us hanging. Leo's mother nodded in satisfaction. That's my boy. Only I stood there like a clown. I turned around, went back to the bedroom, and slammed the door. Leo followed me in, trying to explain. Claire, don't be angry. It's just for a few days. A few days? I sneered. Leo, how many days do you think they'll stay? Look at their luggage. Does that look like they're staying for a few days? Leo looked guilty. We can't just let them sleep on the street. What about us? I pointed outside. Our new home turned into a chaotic mess on the 2nd day. Do you think that's appropriate? And your mother made copies of our key behind our backs. You're just going to let that slide? Leo was silent for a moment. I'll talk to my mom, ask her to return the extra keys. I shook my head, suddenly feeling exhausted. This man was always like this. When a problem arose, he didn't solve it, he just wanted me to understand, to compromise. It was the same 3 years ago. When we first got married, Leo would always come to our rental to freeload, staying for a week or 2 at a time. When I complained, Leo would say, Leah is still young, just let it go. Later, when Ken got married and didn't have money, Leo wanted to lend him our savings. When I disagreed, Leo said, Ken is my brother, I can't just watch him struggle. Every single time, I was the one who gave in, who understood, who sacrificed. Now I even have to give up our new home. When will I ever be considered the mistress of this house? Leah's voice came from outside. Sister-in-law, is there anything to eat? I'm hungry. I checked the time. It was only 8:30 in the morning, and she was already demanding I cook for her. Ken's wife also said, the baby's hungry too. Is there any milk? I took a deep breath and walked out of the bedroom. The fridge only had some groceries I bought yesterday and a loaf of bread. Leah had already opened the fridge and was rummaging through it. Sister-in-law, why is there so little food? Only 6 eggs, that's not enough. Ken's wife sat on the sofa with the baby. The baby needs formula. Is there hot water? Leo's mother directly ordered me. Claire, go buy some groceries. Buy a lot, there are many people now. I was stunned. She was telling me to buy groceries? This was my home, I had just moved in, and she was already bossing me around. Leo sensed the tense atmosphere and quickly said, I'll go. But Leo wouldn't have it. Bro, you're a man. Why are you buying groceries? Sister-in-law is just sitting around at home anyway, let her go. Sitting around? I spent all day yesterday moving, was woken up by them this morning, and now she calls that sitting around? Ken also said, yeah bro, women are more careful when they shop, they know what's good. Leo's mother was even more outrageous. Claire, you're the wife in this family. It's your duty to take care of the family. Besides, we're living here, we can't just starve. I looked at Leo, hoping he would say something, but he just smiled awkwardly. Why don't you go, Claire? I'll give you the money. At that moment, I really wanted to just walk out and slam the door. But I held back. I picked up my purse. Fine, I'll go. Leo breathed a sigh of relief and took out $500 from his wallet. Is this enough? I took the money, a bitter smile on my face. We had pinched every penny for 3 years to buy this apartment, but to entertain his family, he casually pulled out $500. If we kept spending money like this, how would we ever pay off the mortgage? As I was leaving, I heard Leah talking to Ken. Sister-in-law doesn't look too happy. Who cares? It's not like this apartment is all hers. Exactly. What's the big deal if her brother's family stays for a few days? So stingy. Leo's mother also added, young wives these days are so selfish, not like in our time when the whole family lived together in harmony. I stood outside the door, hearing everything clearly. Stingy, selfish. I had saved for 3 years for this family, only to be called stingy. And they moved into my house without a second thought, eating my food, using my things, and still felt like I owed it to them. The more I thought about it on my way to the supermarket, the angrier I got. No, I couldn't go on like this. If I didn't take a stand now, they would just push me further. I had to let Leo know my limits. I came home with a pile of groceries. Leah and Ken's wife had taken over the sofa. Ken's child was running around the living room, messing up the coffee table I had just organized. Leah was lying on the sofa playing with her phone, not even glancing at me. Ken was smoking on the balcony, dropping ashes all over the floor. Leo's mother was sitting at the dining table, talking to Leo. Leo, this apartment you bought is really nice, much better than our old place. Leah is also at the age where she should be getting married. We can introduce her to some guys and say she lives in a new apartment in a nice neighborhood. What did she mean? She wanted Leah to live here permanently? I put down the groceries, unable to hold back any longer. Mom, did you just say you want Leah to stay here for matchmaking? Leo's mother nodded matter-of-factly. Yes, it's so convenient for Leah to live here. The environment is good, and the transportation is convenient. Plus, this apartment is so big, there's plenty of room. I took a deep breath. But this is my and Leo's marital home, and we have a 25-year mortgage to pay off. The financial pressure is immense. Leah sat up from the sofa. Sister-in-law, what are you trying to say? Are you implying you don't want me here? Ken also came over. Sister-in-law, we're all family. It's not right for you to talk like that. Leo's mother's face turned completely dark. Claire, what do you mean? Do you think we're here to freeload? I shook my head. That's not what I meant. I just think we need our own space, and we are indeed under financial pressure. If everyone is going to live here long-term, shouldn't we all contribute to the mortgage and living expenses? As soon as the words left my mouth, the living room fell silent. Leo stared at me with wide eyes, clearly not expecting me to say something like that. Leah was the first to explode. Sister-in-law, what are you trying to say? Are you asking us to pay rent? Ken also got agitated. Sister-in-law, we're Leo's family, not tenants. Leo's mother was trembling with anger. Claire, I never thought you were this kind of person. Charging family to stay for a few days? Have you no conscience? I looked at Leo, hoping he would support me, but he just said awkwardly, Claire, stop talking. Stop talking? I sneered. Leo, this is our home. Don't I even have the right to speak? Or in your heart, am I really just an outsider? Leo was rendered speechless by my question, and the atmosphere in the living room dropped to freezing point. Leah stood up and pointed at me, shouting, Sister-in-law, that's going too far. My brother married you, and this is how you treat his family. Ken chimed in. Yes, sister-in-law. What you're doing is really hurtful. We never said we were staying long-term. We're just in a temporary bind. A bind? I couldn't help but retort. Leah, you're 26 years old. Why don't you rent your own place? Ken, your house renovation is your business. Why do you have to stay with us? Leah glared at me. Why should I rent? My brother has a house. Besides, it's not safe for a single girl to live alone. Ken was also indignant. We're family, isn't it normal to live together? Besides, my brother's house is so big, it's just sitting empty anyway. I was shaking with anger. Empty? This is mine and Leo's new home. We just moved in. We haven't even had our honeymoon yet. Hearing this, Leo's mother's face grew even uglier. Claire, is it appropriate for you to say such things? In front of everyone, you have no shame. I couldn't believe my ears. I was in my own home, saying I wanted some private time as a couple, and she said I had no shame. Mom, this is our new home. It's perfectly normal for us to want some private time. Normal? What's normal about that? Leah sneered. Sister-in-law, all you think about is that stuff. We have guests. Can't you be a little more discreet? Guests? They considered themselves guests? Do guests make their own copies of the host's key? Do guests demand the host go buy groceries and cook for them? Do guests say they plan to stay long-term? I looked at Leo, hoping he would say something fair, but Leo just kept his head down and said nothing. Seeing Leo's inaction, his mother became even more aggressive. Leo, look at your wife's attitude. We worked so hard to raise you, and now we come to your house for a few days, and she gives us this attitude. I really regret agreeing to your marriage. That completely enraged me. Mom, you're right. I'm not worthy of marrying into your family. In that case, let's get a divorce. As soon as the words came out, I was stunned myself. The living room was deathly quiet. Leo looked up at me sharply. Claire, what did you say? I took a deep breath, and a sense of calm washed over me. I said, let's get a divorce. You can let whoever you want live in this house. I can't live here anymore. Leo was the first to react. Sister-in-law, don't be impulsive. We were a little harsh just now, don't take it seriously. Ken also got anxious. Yes, sister-in-law, we're all family. We can talk things out. The most anxious was Leo's mother. Claire, stop making a scene. How can you get a divorce over something so small? Small. They treated my home like a hotel, me like a free maid, and now they call it a small thing? Leo stood up, wanting to hug me. Claire, calm down. I took a step back, avoiding his touch. I am calm. Leo, tell me in your heart, what am I? Your wife or your family's free maid? Leo opened his mouth but couldn't say a word. I continued. We've been together for 3 years. To buy this apartment, I ate $5 box lunches every day. I put all my savings into the down payment and helped you pay the mortgage. The day we get the house, you want to let your family move in, and you let them make a key without my knowledge. Is this how you respect me? Leo's face turned beet red. Claire, I don't disrespect you. It's just that they are really in a difficult situation, and as their brother, I can't just ignore them. What about me? I pointed to myself. I'm your wife. Have you ever considered my feelings? Have you ever thought that I also need a real home, not a place where anyone can just walk in? Leo was speechless. Seeing the situation turning sour, Leah quickly said, Sister-in-law, how about this? We'll move out tomorrow. But it's already so late, you can't just kick us out onto the street. I sneered. Leah, do you think I believe you? You never planned to stay for just a few days, did you? Your mother was already planning your matchmaking here. You call that staying for a few days? Leah's face changed, clearly not expecting me to be so direct. Ken tried to explain. Sister-in-law, my mom was just talking casually. Casually? I pointed at their luggage. Then explain why you brought so much stuff? Why did you secretly make a key? Why did you start assigning rooms as soon as you arrived? My series of questions left them speechless. Seeing her lie exposed, Leo's mother decided to go for broke. Fine, I admit it, we wanted to stay a little longer. But what's wrong with that? Leo is my son, and he bought this house. It's only natural for us to live here. As for you, she pointed at me. You're just an outsider. What right do you have to interfere? Outsider again. I gave a bitter laugh. Fine. Since I'm an outsider, I won't be an eyesore here anymore. I turned to go back to the bedroom to pack my things. Leo quickly grabbed me. Claire, where are you going? Back to my mom's. I shook his hand off. Since I'm an outsider, I shouldn't be living in your family's house. You can all have your family reunion now, without having to see this outsider's face. Leo got anxious. Claire, don't be like that. This is your home too. My home, I retorted. Then why do their words matter more than mine? Why didn't you listen when I objected to them staying? Why didn't you stop them when they ordered me around? Leo wanted to explain, but I didn't want to hear it anymore. I pushed him away and went back to the bedroom to pack my clothes. Leo followed me in. Claire, stop packing. I'll go talk to my mom. I didn't turn around. Talk about what? Whether this outsider should stay or go. How to make this free maid continue to serve. Leo sat on the edge of the bed, his head in his hands. Claire, I really don't know what to do. On one side is my family, I can't just abandon them. But you're my family too, and I don't want to make you sad. I stopped what I was doing and turned to look at him. Leo, do you know what the problem is? He looked up at me. You're always trying to be the nice guy, always trying to please everyone. But you forget that sometimes you have to make a choice between your wife and your family of origin. Leo was silent for a long time, then finally said, I can make them move out. I'll find them a place. I sighed. Leo, you still don't get it. The problem isn't where they live, it's your attitude. From the very beginning, you never asked for my opinion. You didn't know when your mom made the key, you didn't know when they decided to move in. When I objected, you told me to understand them. I don't know what my role is in this family. I had finished packing. Leo, I'm going to my mom's for a few days. You think about it. If you figure it out, give me a call. If you can't, then let's go to the courthouse. When I walked out of the bedroom with my suitcase, everyone in the living room was looking at me. Leah spoke first. Sister-in-law, are you really leaving? There was a hint of relief in her voice. Ken's wife stood to the side, holding her baby, her eyes full of amusement. Leo's mother sat on the sofa and said coldly, If you want to leave, then go. No one is stopping you. Leo will be fine on his own, without having to deal with someone's attitude. I stopped and turned to look at her. Mom, excuse me, but when did I ever give Leo an attitude? To buy this house, I didn't buy a single new piece of clothing for 3 years. To save money, I ate $5 box lunches every day. I put all my savings into the down payment and shared the mortgage with Leo. Tell me, where did I give him an attitude? Leo's mother was stunned by my question, but quickly countered. So what? Isn't that what marriage is about? If you women don't sacrifice for the family, who will? Besides, Leo has a job too, he's also paying the mortgage. What do you have to complain about? I was truly shocked by her values. So in your view, it's expected for women to sacrifice for the family, but not men. Leo should sacrifice for his sister and brother, but not for his wife. Leah cut in. Sister-in-law, that's going too far. How has my brother not sacrificed for you? Didn't he marry you? Marrying me is a sacrifice? I didn't even know how to respond to that. Ken also said, Sister-in-law, your thinking is too extreme. A harmonious family is what matters most. In a family, there's no such thing as sacrifice. We won't be living here for free, we'll help with the housework. Help with the housework? I sneered. Let me ask you, since this morning, who has done any housework? Who has cleaned the living room? Who has washed the dishes? Ken, you were smoking on the balcony, dropping ashes all over the floor. Did you clean it up? Leah, you've been lying on the sofa playing on your phone all morning. Have you washed a single cup? And you? I looked at Ken's wife. Your child made a mess of the coffee table. Did you do anything about it? They were rendered speechless by my questions. I continued. You say you'll help with the housework, but since this morning, only I have gone out to buy groceries, and I was the one preparing lunch. Besides eating, what have you done? Leah looked guilty. We just got here. We're not familiar with the place yet. Not familiar? I pointed to the trash can. Do you need to be familiar with the place to throw out the trash? To wash a dish? Or in your minds, are these things just my job? Seeing that I was making sense, Leo's mother resorted to playing the victim. Claire, is there any point in being so nitpicky? We'll definitely help out while we're here. You're being so hurtful. Hurtful? I laughed bitterly. Mom, am I being hurtful or are you? You secretly made a key and moved in without telling us. Isn't that hurtful? You treat me like a free maid. Isn't that hurtful? You call me an outsider to my face. Isn't that hurtful? Leo's mother had nothing to say, so she just closed her eyes. Leo came out of the bedroom and saw me with my suitcase, his eyes full of pain. Claire, are you really leaving? I nodded. I've thought it through. This house has no place for me. Leo said urgently, No, this is your home too. My home. I pointed at the people in the living room. Then why do their words matter more than mine? Why didn't you listen when I objected to them staying? Why didn't you stop them when they ordered me around? Leo opened his mouth to explain, but I didn't want to hear it anymore. Leo, I want you to think hard about this marriage. If we are to continue, can you guarantee that this kind of thing will never happen again? Can you guarantee that our marital affairs won't be interfered with by your family? Can you guarantee that I will have a say in this family? Leo looked at his mother, then at Leah and Ken, and finally lowered his head. Your silence is the answer. I shook my head in disappointment. I understand. I dragged my suitcase to the door and looked back at the home that had filled me with so much hope just yesterday. Leo, when you've figured it out, give me a call. If you can't, then let's go to the courthouse. Leo followed me to the door. Claire, don't go yet. Let's talk about it. I shook my head. There's nothing to talk about. It's either them or me. You choose. With that, I walked out without looking back. I could hear Leo's voice behind me. Claire. Claire. But I didn't turn back. When I got downstairs, I realized I was trembling, not from fear, but from anger. 3 years, a whole 3 years, I thought I had married a man I could rely on, that we would have a happy little home. But the reality was I had married a mama's boy, a man who could never get his priorities straight. I took out my phone and called my mom. Mom, I need to come home for a few days. My mom could tell from my voice that something was wrong. Claire, what's wrong? Did you and Leo have a fight? I held back my tears. Mom, I'm on my way over. I'll tell you when I get there. I hung up and hailed a cab. The driver glanced at me in the rearview mirror. What's wrong, young lady? A fight at home. I gave a bitter laugh. How could you tell? Dragging a suitcase, eyes all red. What else could it be? The driver sighed. It's not easy for young couples these days. Mortgages, car loans, plus both sets of parents, it's a lot of pressure. I looked out the window at the passing scenery, my heart a mix of emotions. Yes, the pressure is great, but that shouldn't be an excuse for disrespecting your wife, and difficulties shouldn't be a reason to sacrifice your marriage. If a man can't even protect his own wife, what kind of man is he? When I got to my mom's, she saw me with my suitcase and her face immediately changed. Claire, what on earth happened? I fell into my mom's arms, and the tears finally came. Mom, I think I'm getting a divorce. My mom was stunned when she heard I wanted a divorce. Claire, what are you saying? A divorce? You just moved into your new house yesterday. How can you be getting a divorce today? I told her everything that had happened, from Leo's mother secretly making a key, to their family moving in, to them treating me like an outsider. My mom's face turned red with anger as she listened. How could Leo's family be like that? On the very first day. And they're already like this? What will happen in the future? And that Leo, why didn't he say anything at such a crucial moment? I laughed bitterly. Mom, that's just who he is. He always wants to be the nice guy. In his mind, I should understand them, I should tolerate them, but I just can't take it anymore. My mom patted my back. Claire, you did the right thing. A woman can sacrifice for her family, but she can't have no bottom line. If you don't stand up for yourself now, you'll never be able to hold your head up high in that family. I nodded, feeling a little better. At least my mom supported me. Mom, was I too impulsive? Impulsive? Not at all. My mom glared at me. This is called having self-respect. If it were me, I would have kicked them out long ago. What family? Can family just walk into someone else's house? Can family make a key without telling you? When they were treating you like an outsider, why didn't they talk about being family then? My mom got angrier as she spoke. And that Leo, once you're married, you have to take responsibility. When there's a conflict between your wife and your family of origin, if he doesn't help his wife and expects her to just tolerate everything, what's the point of having a man like that? Hearing my mom say this made me feel even more wronged. Mom, it wasn't easy for us to buy this apartment. For 3 years, we had almost no entertainment. We couldn't even bear to buy $100 shirt. But as soon as they arrived, they wanted to move in and expected me to serve them. I just don't get it, why? My mom hugged me. Claire, you've been wronged. But let me tell you, some things you just can't put up with. If you put up with it now, you'll be putting up with it for the rest of your life. I leaned against my mom, feeling a warmth I hadn't felt in a long time. This is what a home should feel like. No need to worry about someone suddenly barging in. No need to worry about being bossed around. No need to worry about being treated like an outsider. Mom, can I stay here for a few days? You can stay as long as you want. This will always be your home. My mom's words made me cry again. Why could my mom give me warmth and support that Leo couldn't? Why did I feel free and at ease in my own home, but oppressed and wronged in Leo's? That's the difference. Some people treat you like family, some treat you like an outsider, and Leo had clearly chosen the latter. At 8 that night, my phone rang. It was Leo. I looked at it but didn't answer. It rang again a little later, and I still didn't answer. My mom looked at me. You're not going to answer? I shook my head. There's nothing to talk about. Unless he's figured it out, talking more is useless. The phone rang a few more times, but I didn't answer. Finally, Leo sent a text. Claire, I know you're angry, but we have to solve this. They're moving out tomorrow. Please come back. I looked at the text and felt even more disappointed. Moving out tomorrow? He thinks that's the solution? I replied. Leo, the problem isn't how many days they stay, it's your attitude. If you can't understand that, there's nothing for us to talk about. Leo replied again. Then what do you want me to do? I can't just ignore my sister and brother. I looked at that text, and my heart turned completely cold. Even now, he still thinks the problem is whether or not to take care of his sister and brother. He's completely failed to realize that the problem is he didn't respect me, didn't protect me, and didn't treat me as the most important person. I replied. It's fine. You take care of your sister and brother, and I'll take care of myself. Leo called back immediately. This time I answered. Claire, what do you mean by that? Exactly what it says. I said calmly. Leo, we're not right for each other. Not right for each other? Leo got anxious. We've been together for 3 years, we bought a house together, we planned our future together. How can you say we're not right for each other? Let me ask you. I sat on the edge of the bed, looking out at the night view. In your heart, who is more important, me or your sister and brother? Leo was silent for a moment. You can't compare. Both are important. I laughed bitterly. Leo, in the adult world, you often have to make a choice. When your mother called me an outsider, why didn't you object? When your sister demanded I go buy groceries and cook, why didn't you stop her? When they wanted to move into our new home, why didn't you ask for my opinion? Leo was silent again. After a long time, he finally said, Claire, I admit I didn't do enough, but you have to understand my difficult situation. They're my family. I'm your wife. I interrupted him. If you can't even protect your wife, what's the point of talking about family? Leo, I'm asking you one last time. If something like this happens again in the future, will you be on my side? Leo was silent for a long time, then finally said, Claire, can you not be so extreme? We can talk about it slowly, solve it slowly. Talk about it slowly, solve it slowly. The same old words. I was completely disillusioned. Leo, let's get a divorce. Claire. Leo got anxious. Don't be impulsive. Let's meet and talk. There's nothing to talk about. I was very calm. You'll never change and I won't compromise anymore. We're not right for each other. It's better for everyone if we separate. Claire, you can't do this. Leo shouted into the phone. We still have the house, the mortgage. You can't just leave. The house, the mortgage. He finally said the most important part. He didn't care about me, just about me as a tool to pay off the loan. We can negotiate about the house, I said coldly, but we are definitely getting a divorce. With that, I hung up. Leo called again, and I just turned off my phone. My mom looked at me. Have you really decided? I nodded. Mom, I've figured it out. Marrying a man like that is a lifetime of grievances. I'm still young, it's not too late to leave. My mom sighed. Actually, I saw it a long time ago. Leo is too weak. But I thought at least he was an honest man and would be good to you. I never expected him to be so unreliable when it mattered. Mom, I won't regret it. I held my mom's hand. I'm still young, I can start over. It's better than suffering in that house for the rest of my life. My mom nodded. You're right. A woman must have her own self-respect. As for the house, you need to think carefully. You have money in it too. I thought for a moment. I don't want the house, they can have it. But the money I put into the down payment and the mortgage payments I've made, I'll get that back. That's reasonable. My mom agreed. You can't just lose the money you put in. I leaned against the headboard, staring at the ceiling. 3 years of a relationship, 3 years of effort, all ending just like that. It would be a lie to say I wasn't sad, but mostly, I felt liberated. At least I didn't have to walk on eggshells around anyone anymore. I didn't have to be treated like an outsider. I didn't have to sacrifice myself for others. I'm still young. I can start over. The next morning, I went to a law firm. I needed to understand the divorce process and how assets are divided. The lawyer was a woman in her 40s. After listening to my story, she was very sympathetic. Ms. Jiang, I understand your situation. Legally speaking, the apartment was purchased during your marriage and is considered joint marital property. However, you have provided proof of your contribution to the down payment, and you should be able to get that back. I nodded. What about the divorce process? If both parties agree, you can go to the Civil Affairs Bureau for a consensual divorce. If you can't reach an agreement, you'll have to go through litigation. The lawyer looked at me. Does your husband agree to a divorce? I shook my head. He doesn't. Then you need to be prepared for a lawsuit. The lawyer gave me some advice, telling me to collect relevant evidence, especially the bank statements for my down payment and the records of my mortgage payments. Leaving the law firm, I felt a lot more at ease. At least I knew what my rights were and how to protect them. In the afternoon, Leo called again. This time I answered. Claire, let's meet and talk. Leo's voice sounded exhausted. Fine, where? How about at home? They've all moved out. I sneered. Leo, that's not my home anymore. Let's find a coffee shop. We agreed on a place and I changed my clothes and left. My mom said worriedly, Do you want me to go with you? I shook my head. Mom, this is between us. I can handle it myself. When I got to the coffee shop, Leo was already waiting. He looked much more haggard with bloodshot eyes. Claire, you're here. I sat across from him, keeping my distance. Go ahead, what is it? Leo took a deep breath. Claire, I thought about it all night. I know I was wrong. I made them move out last night. This will never happen again. I looked at him calmly. And then? Leo was stunned. Then you come home, and we'll live a good life. I shook my head. Leo, you still don't get it. The problem isn't whether they move out or not, it's your attitude. What's wrong with my attitude? Leo got a little agitated. Didn't I make them move out? That's because I said I wanted a divorce. That's why you made them move out. I looked him in the eye. If I hadn't said I wanted a divorce, would you have made them move out? Leo opened his mouth, but couldn't say a word. You wouldn't have. I continued. You would have kept telling me to be patient, to understand, to sacrifice, until I completely broke down. Leo got anxious. Claire, I promise it won't happen again. From now on, I'll always be on your side. I'll always protect you. Leo, your promises are meaningless. I took out my phone and played the recording from yesterday. Listen to what your mother said about me. Leo's mother's voice came from the phone. Claire, you're just an outsider. What right do you have to interfere? Leo's face changed. I continued playing. It's not like this apartment is all hers. Young wives these days are so selfish. After the recording finished, I looked at Leo. From beginning to end, did you say a single word? Did you defend me even once? Leo lowered his head, unable to say a word. Leo, we've been married for 3 years. I've been waiting for you to grow up, to be independent, to learn how to protect your own wife, but I can't wait anymore. I stood up. Let's get a divorce. Let's not waste each other's time anymore. Leo looked up sharply. Claire, you can't do this. We still have the mortgage. I can't afford it on my own. He finally said what was on his mind. He wasn't reluctant to lose me, but to lose the tool that paid the mortgage. We can discuss the mortgage, I said calmly. You just need to pay me back the down payment I contributed and the mortgage payments I've made. You can pay the rest of the mortgage yourself, and the house is yours. Leo got anxious. But how can I afford that on my own? That's not my problem. I picked up my bag to leave. You can ask your mother to help you pay, or Leah and Ken. After all, you're all family. Leo grabbed me. Claire, you can't be so heartless. We've been together for 3 years. Is there no love left? Love? I looked at him, my heart a mix of emotions. Leo, I do have feelings for you, but love can't pay the bills, it can't solve all our problems. You've shown me that in your heart. I'm never the most important one. So why should I wrong myself and continue this? Leo wanted to explain, but I didn't want to hear it anymore. I'll have my lawyer contact you to discuss the divorce. If you cooperate, we can have a consensual divorce. If you don't, I'll sue for divorce. With that, I walked out without looking back. I could hear Leo's voice behind me. Claire, come back. But I didn't turn back. This time it was really over. Walking down the street, I suddenly felt a sense of relief. For the first time in 3 years, I didn't have to consider anyone's feelings. I didn't have to worry about Leo being unhappy. I didn't have to worry about his family's opinions. I could just be myself. My phone rang. I thought it was Leo, but it was my best friend, Chloe. Claire, I heard you and Leo had a fight? I laughed bitterly. Not a fight. We're getting a divorce. What? Chloe's voice went up an octave. You just moved into your new house yesterday, and you're getting a divorce today? What happened? I briefly explained what had happened. Chloe was furious. Leo's family is outrageous. Making a key without your permission is bad enough. But they actually wanted to move in long term? What do they think you are? The worst part is Leo, he didn't say a word when it mattered. Claire, you did the right thing by getting a divorce. Hearing my friend's support made me even more resolute. Chloe, I might have to find a new job. My current one is too close to home. It'll be awkward if we run into each other. No problem, Chloe said cheerfully. Our company is hiring right now, and the salary is $1,000 higher than your current one. Want to give it a try? My eyes lit up. Really? Of course. When have I ever lied to you? After hanging up, I felt like the future was bright. Leaving Leo, my world had actually become bigger. I'm still young, and I have endless possibilities. A week later, I officially started at Chloe's company. The new job was less stressful, and the salary was $1,000 higher. More importantly, no one here knew Leo. I could start over. Leo had been calling and texting me these past few days, but I ignored him. My lawyer had already sent a letter to him, requesting to negotiate the divorce, but Leo had been dragging his feet, refusing to cooperate. My lawyer told me that if he continued like this, we would have to sue for divorce. I didn't hesitate. I told my lawyer to prepare the lawsuit. Since he wouldn't cooperate, we would go through the legal process. That afternoon, I was at work when the receptionist came over. Claire, there's someone at the door for you. I looked up and saw Leo standing at the company entrance. He looked even more haggard, with an unshaven face. I walked out. What are you doing here? Claire, let's talk. Leo's voice was weary. You can't really sue for divorce. Why not? I looked at him calmly. You won't agree to a consensual divorce, so I have to sue. A lawsuit will get ugly, Leo pleaded. Can't we just part on good terms? Good terms. I sneered. Then cooperate with the divorce. Leo stammered. I still hope we can get back together. Impossible, I said flatly. Leo, it's over between us. The sooner you accept that, the better. Seeing my firm attitude, Leo started playing the sympathy card. Claire, we've been together for 3 years. Is there no love left? You're going to divorce me just because my family stayed for 1 day? 1 day. I couldn't believe he was still twisting the truth. Leo, is the problem 1 day? The problem is they secretly made a key. They treated me like an outsider, and you didn't defend me from beginning to end. Do you still not get it? Leo was rendered speechless by my words. After a while he said, Then I promise this won't happen again. I've already talked to my mom and told them not to come over anymore. I shook my head. Leo, your promise is worthless. What about your mother? Has she apologized? What about Leah and Ken? Have they realized they were wrong? Leo was silent again. Clearly, no one in his family thought they had done anything wrong. Leo, your whole family thinks I'm overreacting, right? Leo couldn't look me in the eye. In that case, what else is there to say? I turned to leave. Leo quickly grabbed me. Claire, you can't do this. The house, I really can't afford the mortgage on my own. The mortgage again. All he ever thinks about is the mortgage. Leo, I'll say it one last time. I shook his hand off. I don't want the house. Just pay me back the money I put into the down payment. But I don't have that much money, Leo said with a long face. The down payment was $200,000. You put in $120,000. Where am I going to get that much money? That's not my problem, I said coldly. You can sell the house, or ask your mother for it. It's your debt, it has nothing to do with me. Leo got anxious. Claire, you can't be so cruel. Cruel? I laughed in anger. Leo, I was with you for 3 years, saving every penny to buy a house, only to have it taken over by your family the day we moved in. When I objected, you didn't listen. When I demanded respect, you didn't give it. Who's the cruel one here? Leo wanted to argue but couldn't say a word. I continued. And I'm being generous enough. I don't even want the house. Any other woman would have demanded half the property. What more do you want? Leo knew it was useless to say more. Finally, he said, then can you not sue for now? Give me some time to raise the money. I thought for a moment. Fine, I'll give you 1 month. After 1 month, if you still don't cooperate, I'll sue immediately. Leo was relieved. Okay, 1 month. 1 month is enough. Watching his retreating back, I had mixed feelings. 3 years of a relationship, ending just like that. It would be a lie to say I wasn't sad, but I didn't regret it. Some paths you have to walk alone, some decisions you have to bear the consequences of yourself. Back at the office, Chloe asked with concern, how did it go? Is he still pestering you? I shook my head. Probably not anymore. He agreed to cooperate with the divorce. That's good. Chloe patted my shoulder. Claire, you did the right thing. That kind of man isn't worth wasting your youth on. I nodded and went back to work. Work helped me forget my troubles and rediscover my own worth. I was no longer someone's wife, no longer someone's maid. I was just myself, Claire Jiang, an independent and dignified woman. When I got home that night, my mom was watching TV. Claire, did Leo come to see you today? I nodded and told her what had happened. My mom said, giving him a month is a good idea, so he can't say you're being unreasonable. But you need to be prepared. He's very likely to procrastinate. Men like that are the best at procrastinating. They'll drag it out as long as they can. I thought for a moment. If he does procrastinate, then I'll sue. A court judgment is more secure. My mom nodded. Right. You can't be soft when you need to be firm. A woman's life isn't easy. You can't just tolerate everything. I leaned back on the sofa, watching a family drama on TV. The female protagonist was also struggling with her mother-in-law, but she chose to endure, to sacrifice, and in the end, she moved her mother-in-law and found happiness. If it were me in the past, I might have admired such an ending, but now I just found it fake. In real life, tolerance only leads to more tolerance, sacrifice only leads to more sacrifice. Only by standing up and fighting back can you earn real respect. I took out my phone and looked at a real estate website. Maybe I should consider buying a small apartment for myself. A 1-bedroom would be enough. It doesn't have to be big, at least it would be a space that truly belongs to me. Looking at those beautifully renovated small apartments, a warm feeling spread through me. I'm still young. I still have a chance to start over. Maybe single life will be more exciting than married life. The 1-month deadline passed, and there was no word from Leo. I had my lawyer formally file for divorce. 2 days later, Leo received the court summons and called me in a panic. Claire, you really sued? I said 1 month. But I'm still trying to raise the money. Leo said anxiously, give me a little more time. There's no more time, I said calmly. Leo, what have you been doing this past month? If you were really trying to raise the money, you would have done it by now. You were just procrastinating, hoping I would change my mind. Leo was at a loss for words, as I had hit the nail on the head. Claire, I admit I was hoping for a miracle, but I really can't let go of our relationship. Love can't pay the bills. I repeated what I had said before. Since you won't cooperate, let the court decide. After hanging up, I felt a lot more relieved. After procrastinating for so long, it was finally coming to an end. My lawyer told me that based on the evidence I provided, we had a high chance of winning. The bank statements for the down payment, the mortgage payment records, all proved my contribution to the property, and the recording of Leo's family secretly making a key and moving in constituted an infringement on my rights. Ms. Jiang, you can also claim damages for emotional distress, my lawyer suggested. I shook my head. I don't want emotional distress damages, I just want my money back. I don't want to have anything to do with that family anymore. My lawyer nodded. Then we'll proceed as you wish. The day before the court hearing, Leo came to see me again. This time, he brought his mother with him. They waited downstairs at my company for a long time. When my colleague told me, I was surprised. Leo's mother actually came. I went downstairs to see them. They stood in the cold wind, looking miserable. What is it? I asked coldly. Leo's mother looked at me with an awkward expression. Claire, I came to apologize to you. I couldn't believe my ears. This woman who had always treated me like an outsider was actually apologizing. I was wrong last time. I shouldn't have called you an outsider, Leo's mother said in a small voice. You're Leo's wife, you're part of our family. I looked at her coldly. Don't you think it's a little too late for that now? It's not too late, it's not too late, Leo said quickly. Claire, my mom has realized her mistake, and Leah and Ken know they were wrong too. They won't come to our house anymore. Let's start over, okay? I shook my head. Leo, you still don't get it. The problem isn't whether they apologize or not, it's your attitude. When they were treating me like that, why didn't you stop them? Why didn't you defend me? Leo was speechless. Leo's mother added, Claire, it was all my fault. I was too impulsive and said things I shouldn't have. Don't blame Leo, he was caught in the middle and had a hard time. A hard time? I sneered. So I didn't have a hard time? When I was being criticized by your whole family, I didn't have a hard time. When I was being treated like an outsider, I didn't have a hard time. Leo's mother had nothing to say. Claire, we really know we were wrong, Leo pleaded. Can you give us a chance? A chance? I looked at the two of them, feeling nothing but annoyance. Leo, I've given you countless chances. For 3 years, every time your family caused trouble, I chose to tolerate it. Every time you asked me to understand, I chose to compromise. But you kept pushing the boundaries, getting worse each time. Now that I'm not willing to tolerate it anymore, you come to apologize? Sorry, it's too late. Leo wanted to say something, but I waved my hand. See you in court tomorrow. I don't want to waste any more time. With that, I turned and went back into the company. I could hear Leo's mother crying behind me. Claire, I'm begging you. Leo can't live without you. I didn't turn back. Some mistakes are unforgivable. Some wounds can never be healed. Not every I'm sorry can be exchanged for forgiveness. The next day in court, Leo looked very nervous. His lawyer tried to argue that the house was joint marital property and should be divided equally. But my lawyer presented ample evidence. The down payment I had made, the mortgage payments I had made, all had bank records. There was also the recording proving that Leo's family had secretly made a key and moved in, causing me emotional distress. After hearing both sides, the judge announced the verdict on the spot. Divorce granted, the property goes to Leo, but he must repay my down payment and the mortgage payments I had made, totaling $150,000. Leo's face turned pale when he heard the verdict. $150,000 was an astronomical sum for him, but it was the court's decision, and he had to comply. Walking out of the courtroom, I felt an unprecedented sense of relief. Finally free, Leo called out to me from behind, Claire. I didn't turn back. That chapter was now closed. After the divorce was finalized, my life changed completely. Without Leo's pestering, without his family's harassment, I could focus on my work and my life. Leo paid me back the money in installments as ordered by the court. I heard that to raise the $150,000, he had to mortgage the house to the bank, and now his monthly payments were even higher, and he was under even more pressure. Leah and Ken were also forced to move out, because the house was mortgaged and could no longer house other people. I felt nothing when I heard this news. These were the consequences of their own choices. With the 150,000, plus my savings from this period, I made a down payment on a small studio apartment for 100 square feet. It wasn't big, but it was cozy. Most importantly, only my fingerprint could open the door. No one could just walk in, no one could order me around. This was truly my own space. I decorated the apartment to be very cozy, with pink curtains, a floral bedspread, and 2 potted plants. Every day after work, coming home to this small space filled me with a sense of satisfaction. Chloe came to see my new home and said with envy, "Claire, you're living the good life. It's so liberating to live alone. You can do whatever you want." I smiled and made her tea. Yeah, no more walking on eggshells around anyone. "So how is Leo now?" Chloe asked gossipily. "I heard he's having a hard time," I said lightly. "The mortgage pressure is huge, and he also has to pay back the mortgage loan. His mother and Leah and Ken don't dare to bother him anymore, for fear of being kicked out." Chloe sighed. "He really brought it on himself. If he had treated you better, you would still be a happy family of 3. He had to mess things up and ruin a good thing." I nodded. "So you have to have a bottom line. You can't just hurt others without consequences just because they're family." That weekend, I was cleaning my house when the doorbell rang. I looked through the peephole and saw a woman I didn't know. "Who are you looking for?" "Hello, I'm Leah." "Leah? Leo's sister? How did she know my address?" I didn't open the door. "What is it?" "Claire, I want to talk to you." Leah's voice sounded weak. "About my brother." I hesitated for a moment, then opened the door. Leah looked much more haggard, and her clothes were not as stylish as before. "Come." Leah sat on my small sofa and looked around my apartment. "Your place is really nice. It's not big, but it's very cozy." I poured her a glass of water. "Go ahead, what is it?" Leah took the glass of water, looking a little embarrassed. "Claire, I came to apologize. We were wrong back then. We shouldn't have treated you like that. My brother is having a very hard time now. He's very unhappy." I looked at her calmly. "And then? Could you get back together with my brother?" Leah said cautiously. "I promise it will never happen again." I shook my head. "Leah, that's impossible." "Why?" Leah got anxious. "We all know we were wrong. My brother has changed. Why can't we start over?" I looked at this woman who had once been so arrogant, now begging me with a low voice. If it were me in the past, I might have softened, but now I just found it ridiculous. "Leah, do you know why I got a divorce?" Leah shook her head. "It wasn't because you stayed at my house for one day. It was because of your attitude. You never treated me like family, you never respected me. Now that your brother is having a hard time, you remember me. When you were treating me like an outsider. Why didn't you think about today?" Leah's face turned red. "Claire, we really know we were wrong. Does knowing you were wrong fix everything?" I sneered. "Leah, some words once said can't be taken back. Some things once done are done. An apology can't solve everything." Leah wanted to say more, but I stood up. "I've started a new life. I'm very happy, very content, and I don't want to go back to the past. Please don't bother me anymore." Seeing my firm attitude, Leah had to get up and leave. At the door, she turned back and said, "Claire, my brother really regrets it. He said that if he had a chance to do it all over again, he would definitely protect you." I shook my head. There are no ifs. Life can't be redone. If you make a mistake, you have to bear the consequences. After seeing Leah off, I went back inside, my mood unchanged. Leo's regret, Leah's apology, meant nothing to me anymore. I've moved on. Why would I go back to that place of pain? That night, my mom called. "Claire, I heard Leo's family came to see you?" "Yes, Leah came." I told her what had happened during the day. My mom said, "You did the right thing. People like that are always like this. They take advantage when they can, and come begging when there's trouble. Don't let them bother you anymore." "I won't, Mom. I'm very firm. My life is good now. I don't want to go back to the past." "That's good," my mom said with relief. "I was just afraid you would be soft-hearted. A woman has to be good to herself." After hanging up, I stood by the window, looking at the night view. The city lights were beautiful. I'm still young. I still have endless possibilities. Why should I give up my own happiness for a man who isn't worth it? 6 months later, my life was completely on track. At work, I was promoted and got a raise for my outstanding performance. In my personal life, I learned to bake and could make all sorts of pastries. My friends all said I seemed much more cheerful than before. It's true, without all those worries, you naturally feel more relaxed. That afternoon, I was in a meeting at work when Chloe burst in. Claire, bad news, your ex-husband is here. Leo is here? I frowned, apologized to my colleagues, and walked out of the meeting room. Leo was standing at the company entrance, looking even more haggard, his hair messy, his clothes wrinkled, completely lacking his former spirit. What are you doing here? I asked coldly. Claire, I have something to say to you. Leo's voice was hoarse. Just 5 minutes. I checked my watch. Fine, 5 minutes. We went to a coffee shop near the company and found a corner to sit in. Go ahead. Leo took a deep breath. Claire, I wanted to tell you, I sold the house. Sold it? That was unexpected. And then? I paid off all my debts, and I have some money left over. Leo looked at me. I want to give this money to you, as compensation. I shook my head. I don't need it. Claire, please hear me out, Leo said quickly. I know I wronged you. For the past 6 months, I've been regretting it every day, regretting that I didn't protect you, regretting that I made you suffer so much. I looked at him calmly. And then? I want to start over. Leo's eyes shone with hope. Can we try again? I shook my head. Leo, that's impossible. Why? Leo got anxious. I have nothing now, only you. I understand now what sister, brother, what family, none of them are as important as you. You're my wife, you should be the most important person to me. Hearing these words, I felt a flicker of emotion, but it quickly subsided. Leo, you know what you're saying now is what I wanted to hear for the past 3 years. But now it's too late. Leo's face fell. Claire, is there really no chance for us? No. I was very certain. Leo, it's over between us. I have my own life now, my own friends, my own space. I'm very happy, very fulfilled, and I don't want to go back to the past. Leo was silent for a long time, then finally said, I was too selfish. I only thought about my own feelings and never considered yours. Now that I've lost you, I realize how good you were. I nodded. It's good that you know. I hope you'll remember this lesson and be better to the next woman. Leo gave a bitter laugh. Will there be a next one? There will be. I stood up. But it won't be me. Leo, let's just say goodbye here. Don't come looking for me anymore. We both need to move on. Leo looked at me, his eyes full of reluctance. Claire, I'll always remember how good you were, and I'll always regret my own foolishness. I didn't respond. I turned and left the coffee shop. Walking down the street, I felt very calm. This was probably the last time I would see Leo. Some things once missed are missed for a lifetime. Back at the office, Chloe asked with concern, How did it go? Is he still pestering you? I shook my head. He came to say goodbye. He won't be back. That's good. Chloe breathed a sigh of relief. You're doing so well now, don't ever look back. I smiled. I'm doing very well. That night, I cooked myself a lavish dinner. Garlic shrimp, sweet and sour pork ribs, seaweed and egg soup, and I even opened a bottle of red wine. A dinner for one can also be exquisite. After dinner, I sat on the balcony reading. Below was the hustle and bustle of the city, above was a peaceful quiet. This was the life I wanted. No need to walk on eggshells around anyone, no need to cater to anyone's preferences. I could be myself, and live the life I wanted. My phone rang. It was my mom. Claire, did Leo come to see you again today? Yes, but he came to say goodbye. I briefly explained what had happened. My mom said, That Leo, he finally gets it now, but it's too late. But at least he has some conscience, he knows not to bother you anymore. Yeah. I looked at the stars in the night sky. Mom, I'm really happy now. I never knew single life could be so liberating. My mom laughed. Silly girl, I told you a long time ago. A woman has to love herself first. Now you get it. I get it. I laughed too. Mom, thank you for always supporting me. Silly talk. I'm your mother. Who else would I support? The me of today is much happier than the me of 3 years ago. The one who compromised and sacrificed for love. Part 2. My destiny was stolen? The fake heiress's face is rotting. As my ashes were ground into the mud by tires, I was floating in the air, watching my funeral. There was no funeral, just a crematorium worker, waving his hand impatiently, scattering my ashes by the side of the road. The cold wind swept the ash into the traffic, and in an instant, it was crushed by tires, gone without a trace. Damn it! A driver spit, flooring the gas pedal. 3 days. I lingered in this world for 3 whole days. I watched the Jiang family mansion, brightly lit. Under the crystal chandelier, the fake heiress Lydia snuggled in Mrs. Jiang's arms, playfully asking for cherries. Mr. Jiang smiled and tapped her nose. The butler, Miller, the man I had called Dad for 20 years, stood by with a silver tray, every wrinkle on his face filled with fawning sycophancy. Miss Lydia is truly the kindest and most noble young lady I have ever seen. His voice was sticky, like poisoned honey. Kind. Noble. 3 days ago, it was this same face, in the shadows of the street corner where the truck had sent me flying, that had crushed out a cigarette and whispered like a snake, "Go to hell. Only when you're dead can my daughter rightfully become the most honored princess of this city. You can only blame your real father for being too rich, for attracting envy." On the 7th day after my death, the bells of the cathedral shattered the clouds. Lydia, in a priceless handmade wedding gown, her veil studded with diamonds, walked down the aisle on the arm of the young master of the C family, Ethan. Sunlight streamed through the stained glass windows, bathing her in a holy golden light. In the pews, Miller, dressed in an expensive suit, sat upright, pretentiously dabbing at his eyes. Ethan leaned in to kiss his bride. An overwhelming darkness enveloped me, pulling me down. Unwillingness and venom boiled within my soul, but I couldn't break free from the invisible shackles. It was over. My life, my identity, everything had been stolen from me completely. Why? A massive suction force suddenly seized me. The world spun. When I opened my eyes again, my vision was shrouded in a blurry, warm yellow light. The strong smell of disinfectant choked my nose. I instinctively wanted to cough, to cry, but my mouth was clamped shut by a large, hot, rough hand. My oxygen was cut off in an instant, my fragile neck gripped by an arm like an iron clamp. "Young miss, don't blame me," a cold voice whispered in my ear, trembling with greed. "If you must blame someone, blame your good fortune for being born into the Jiang family." Miller. A 20-year younger Miller. The eyes behind his gold-rimmed glasses were no longer feigning gentleness, they now churned with naked ferocity. He was wearing the Jiang family butler's uniform, the iris crest pinned perfectly. He was dragging me out of the soft, fragrant crib. In his other hand, he carefully held a pink bundle, inside which a beautiful baby girl slept soundly. Lydia. The switch. It's happening now. The hatred from my past life of being deceived, exploited, and crushed into dust exploded. My tiny body erupted with a strength that didn't belong to an infant. Just as Miller bent down to place Lydia in the crib, his hand over my mouth relaxed for a fraction of a second. MMPH. I jerked my head, and with all my might, my short legs, still wrapped in the swaddling, kicked out at the pink bundle. Thump. A clumsy kick. The pink bundle tilted, hitting the crib's railing. The sleeping Lydia, startled, scrunched up her face and let out a sharp, piercing wail. Wah. Who's in there? What's wrong with the baby? The sound of a nurse's hurried footsteps, and Mrs. Jiang's panicked voice came from outside the room. Miller's face changed drastically. The hand covering my mouth shot back as if electrocuted, instinctively reaching to steady his precious daughter. Now. Air rushed into my burning throat. I screamed at the top of my lungs, a cry more piercing, more desperate than Lydia's, as if it would tear my vocal cords apart. Wah! The double-barreled assault of wails nearly blew the roof off. The door was thrown open. A blinding white light flooded in and Mrs. Jiang, her face pale, rushed in. My baby. The first thing she saw was me, cradled in Miller's panicked arms, crying my heart out. Miller's arms holding me froze instantly. The pupils behind his gold-rimmed glasses shrank to pinpricks, his face ashen. 18 years later. The roses in the Jiang family's garden were in full, fiery bloom. I sat in a white wicker chair, slowly stirring the tea in my bone china cup. Across from me, Lydia was giggling at her phone screen. "Look, sister." She proudly handed me her phone. On the screen was a picture of her and Ethan captioned, "Childhood sweethearts for the rest of our lives." The likes and comments were already in the tens of thousands, all variations of perfect couple and true love in high society. The sun shone on her meticulously cared for face, so perfect it looked like it would break at a touch, every inch screaming pampered. Very nice," I said coolly, my eyes sweeping over the faint, almost imperceptible grayish tint between her eyebrows. It was a sign that her stolen luck was beginning to destabilize. In my past life, this sign only fully emerged after my death, as she reveled in her victory. "Lydia is getting more beautiful by the day," Mrs. Jiang said, walking over with a fruit platter, lovingly stroking Lydia's head. "This skin, it's like a peeled egg." "That's because you take such good care of me, Mom," Lydia said playfully, but her eyes darted a quick, contemptuous glance at me. In her eyes, I, the true heiress who had luckily not been swapped 18 years ago, was just a bland, boring bookworm with no presence. My phone vibrated. I looked down. An encrypted message appeared on the screen. Target group. Lydia's Guardians, Lydia's core fan group, highest level access acquired. At the end of the message was a simple smiley face. Miller, dressed in a crisp butler's uniform, appeared silently behind me and bowed slightly. "Young Miss, Mr. Ethan's car has arrived to take Miss Lydia for her engagement dress fitting." His posture was respectful, but his eyes were like poison needles, cold and sharp whenever they occasionally flickered over me. For the past 18 years, he had been the Jiang family's most loyal butler on the surface, while secretly paving the way for Lydia, trying to completely marginalize me. Unfortunately for him, the advantage of being reborn, combined with my own secret plans, had thwarted him at every turn. "I know," Lydia said, getting up excitedly. After a few steps, she turned back and said to me, seemingly casually, "Oh, by the way, sister, you have to come to my and Ethan's engagement party next month. Although," she paused, a sweet yet pitying smile on her face, "you might not be used to that kind of occasion." "Of course," I said, raising my teacup, the steam blurring the cold curve of my lips. I watched as Lydia, like a proud peacock, walked towards Ethan's luxury car at the gate, with Miller following closely, his face a mask of perfect deference. The time had come. My fingertip tapped on the phone screen. An encrypted, untraceable virtual ID silently infiltrated the 100-member core group called Lydia's Guardians, where her most fanatical followers gathered. The group was in a frenzy over Lydia's recent lovey-dovey post, with compliments flooding the chat. I typed 7 words, like a cold judgment from hell. "Time to return the life you stole. Send." The message was instantly buried under a flood of 99999, and Lydia is a goddess. A few seconds of silence. The ID Lydia's little star popped up. Some kind of idiot? Admin, kick them. Guardian of Lydia's light. What a downer. Kick them out. Mockery and calls for removal, as expected. A few seconds later, the ID gossip spiller suddenly appeared. Wait. Stole a life? Holy crap. Do you guys remember that super weird post from years ago? It said some J family heiress was an imposter? That the real heiress was screwed over, and they used some dark magic to keep the fake one alive? The post disappeared in a second, and the user's account was deleted. The flood of messages slowed for a beat. The ID Industry Insider posted a few blurry screenshots. Yeah, here are the pics. They're blurry, but they mention fortune, transference, backlash. There's also a comparison pic. On the left is a sickly girl who's nothing but skin and bones, and on the right, holy crap, the side profile looks just like our goddess Lydia. Lydia's Guardians, the seemingly impenetrable fortress, exploded from within. Where are the pics? HD pics. Fake heiress? Dark magic? Stolen life? My mind is blown. At Lydia's little star, don't you know Lydia's best friend? Say something. Where are the admins? Playing dead? At group owner, get out here and explain. Panic spread like a plague. The admin's weak attempts at rumors, and believe in Lydia, were instantly drowned in a torrent of anger. Screenshots and chat logs were rapidly shared across all major social media platforms. The storm had begun. Hashtag Lydia Jiang fake heiress, hashtag Destiny stealing dark arts 2 blood red, exploding, tags were nailed to the top of the trending list. Lydia's studio's statement came late, all bluster and no substance. Malicious rumors. The police have been contacted. We believe in Lydia. The accompanying picture was a freshly edited selfie of her, skin flawless. Metaphysics Exposed, a popular account with millions of followers, instantly reposted at Lydia Jiang's studio before calling the police. Please explain. Why does MS? Lydia's astrological chart not match the information the Jiang family released years ago? Her chart indicates she should have been frail and died young, so how did she become so healthy and wealthy? Also, for 3 consecutive years, your company paid a 7-figure sum to a certain wellness consultant, who was arrested last month for superstitious fraud. The timing, the amount, the nature, please explain. The retweets and comments exploded instantly. Whoa, a metaphysical takedown. The charts don't match. 7 figures for life extension? From a fraudster? This is a smoking gun. Does the studio dare to sue Metaphysics Exposed? If not, they're guilty. Former Jiang family maid, a verified account, posted a video with an old contract attached. I worked for the Jiang family for 10 years. Miss Lydia was sick all the time as a child, thin as paper. Then the family hired a strange Taoist master, and they did some rituals behind closed doors for a few days. After that, Miss Lydia's health improved, and she became more and more beautiful, but the young miss referring to the true heiress started to grow inexplicably weak. I personally heard the butler, Miller, talking to the master in the greenhouse about fortune has been transferred, and it's stabilized. I was fired not long after that. Time, place, people, details, it was a direct hit. The entire internet erupted. The maid confirms it. The butler did it. Transferring fortune? Sucking the life out of the real heiress. This is terrifying. Lydia and Miller can go to hell and pay for what they did. Lydia's social media accounts were completely overrun. The goddess of fresh air was now being spammed with life-sucking demon, dark arts backlash, and rot and die. Every curse was like a red-hot steel needle, stabbing into my body. A powerful, warm current that had been dormant for 18 years suddenly burst from my heart. Like a long-dormant volcano erupting. Rushing life force roared through all my blocked meridians. My bones made a series of cracking sounds, like parched earth receiving rain. A sense of power surged beneath my pale, sickly skin. The heavy weight that had been pressing on my heart for years instantly shattered. I walked to the full-length mirror. The person in the mirror was undergoing a breathtaking transformation. The sickly gray pallor that had long haunted me visibly faded, replaced by a warm, healthy, jade-like glow. The sharp lines of my face softened and filled out. My lips took on a natural rosy hue. My once dull eyes became clear and sharp, with a fire of rebirth burning in their depths. My whole being was like a dusty pearl wiped clean, radiating a dazzling light. My phone vibrated wildly. Encrypted numbers from Apex Capital and Joe Group flashed on the screen, along with one without a name, but which made the hatred in the depths of my soul surge. Ethan. I immediately swiped to decline Ethan's call. In the mirror, on my brand new face, the corners of my lips slowly curled into a cold, venomous smile. The fire of backlash has just been lit. It's time to pay back the stolen fortune with interest. The cathedral. Lydia and Ethan's engagement party. The crystal chandeliers glittered like a river of stars. Lydia, in a priceless gown, clung to Ethan's arm, her smile flawless, accepting the envy and blessings of the guests. Miller, in a high-end suit, lurked in a corner of the crowd, his eyes fixed on the entrance, his face so grim it looked like it could drip water. I arrived. A simple black velvet dress, no jewelry, yet I instantly captured the entire room's attention. My transformed radiance was like the brightest moon in the dark night, carrying a silent but powerful aura. Whispers erupted. Is that the Jiang family's sickly young miss? She looks like a completely different person. God, she's beautiful. How did we never notice before? I heard about that stuff online recently. The smile on Lydia's face froze, her nails nearly digging into Ethan's arm. Ethan stared at me, his eyes filled with undisguised amazement and shock. Miller's pupils contracted. He instinctively started to move forward to stop me. Too late. The melodious engagement march was abruptly cut off by a piercing static noise. All the huge electronic screens in the church, including the guests' phones which were forcibly connected to the signal, lit up at the same time. The image was crystal clear. It was the secret shrine in the Jiang family home, a room never shown to outsiders. In front of the altar, the strangely shaped bronze lamp that had once drained my life force was burning with an eerie, sickly green flame. Beside the lamp was a lock of hair, tied with a red string, long since dried and blackened, my hair. A cold, emotionless electronic voice echoed through the church, reverberating in the dead silence. Evidence Chain 1. Lydia's true astrological chart indicating frailty and early death does not match the public record. Evidence Chain 2. The Jiang family's butler Miller made large, consecutive payments to a superstitious fraudster now arrested. Evidence Chain 3. The shrine's ritual of transference medium, a bronze lamp using the true heiress's hair as a focus. A life of false glory, maintained by stealing destiny through dark arts. Now the backlash begins. The screen switched abruptly. On the left, a high-definition close-up of Lydia on the red carpet, smiling beautifully radiant. On the right, a live feed, focused on Lydia's face on the stage, now completely drained of color. Turn it off! Turn it off! Lydia shrieked hysterically, her hands flying to cover her face. But the camera was like a shadow that couldn't be shaken. Everyone clearly saw, on her smooth forehead, a patch of skin the size of a fingernail rapidly turn gray and slack. Then deep brown, rotting spots appeared like evil flowers, spreading rapidly. A thick, yellowish liquid oozed from the rotting patches, trickling down her terrified, contorted face. My face! My face! Her piercing cries echoed through the church. Her carefully applied makeup was smeared into a mess by the pus, mixed with rotting flesh, emitting a nauseatingly foul stench. The holy engagement party had instantly turned into a living hell. Lydia! Ethan recoiled in horror. Miller, his eyes wide with fury, rushed towards the control room, only to be pinned down by security guards who had appeared out of nowhere. The Jiang parents collapsed to the floor, their faces ashen. The room erupted in chaos. Camera flashes went off like crazy, capturing the horrifying scene. The live feed was broadcast across the entire internet, the comments section exploding. Holy St. Her face is rotting. Dark arts backlash. Live. This is amazing. The real heiress is a badass. An eye for an eye. Lydia and Miller can go to hell. I stood apart from the crowd, quietly watching the grand backlash I had orchestrated. The surging fortune within me was like a cheering river. Every bit of power I reclaimed was celebrating. My phone vibrated. Encrypted message. Miller attempted to destroy the shrine has been contained. The dark arts master, Master Xian, has been located, abandoned temple on the west side of the city. Time to finish this. I turned, the black hem of my dress swishing in a cold arc. The sunlight outside the church was a bit glaring, but incredibly warm. What was stolen will eventually be returned. The blood debt owed will be paid with life. West side of the city, an abandoned factory crouched in the night, a rusted steel beast. The air was thick with the smell of rust oil, and a cloying sweet decay. Miserly moonlight pierced through the shattered roof in a few pale beams, illuminating dancing dust motes. I walked silently over the shattered glass and twisted rebar, my black boots making no sound. A faint but strong golden thread was wrapped around my fingertips, the other end tied to the violently struggling spectral form of Miller. He was like a fish out of water, his mouth gaping uselessly, gold-rimmed glasses askew. Every line on his face etched with extreme terror. He had personally witnessed his precious daughter Lydia's face rot in front of the world, before she was dragged off to a mental institution. And now his soul was bound by me, brought to this hellish place. No, let me go. I beg you. His soul form let out a silent wail, twisting and deforming. Let him go? A cold smile touched my lips. When my ashes were ground to dust by tires in my past life, did he ever think of letting me go? The golden thread tightened abruptly, dragging him stumbling forward. Deeper into the factory, the sweet, rotten smell grew stronger, mixed with the pungent scent of incense and blood. Beneath a giant, abandoned reaction tank, there was a heavy iron door covered in strange symbols. Inside, it was a different world. Eerie green candlelight flickered, casting a ghostly light on the huge underground space. The walls were carved with writhing, blood-red symbols, and in the center was a massive, dark red ritual circle. At the center of the circle, the bronze lamp that had once drained my life force was enshrined. The flame was no longer the sickly green from before, but a thick blood red, emitting a nauseatingly sweet heat and an aura of destruction. Master Xian sat cross-legged at the edge of the circle. He was even more withered than in my past life, like a skeleton in a Taoist robe, the lines on his face deep enough to trap flies. Dried black blood stained the corners of his mouth, his cloudy old eyes fixed on the blood-red flame in the circle, filled with a desperate madness. "You've come," he said, his voice as hoarse as sandpaper, without even looking up, as if he had expected me. "Such strong fortune, stronger than before. If I consume you, not only can I heal the damage from the backlash, but my blood flame soul-devouring art will be perfected. That useless Lydia. She deserved to die." Before he finished speaking, his claw-like hand plunged into a bulging sack beside him. HNGH. A grating, inhuman growl sounded. A figure dark and stiff, reeking of decay, was dragged out. Its pupils were rolled back, and blackish yellow drool trickled from its mouth. A reanimated corpse, forcefully animated by dark magic. "Go. Tear her apart. Bring me her essence and soul." Master Xian shrieked. A speck of dark red blood flame shooting from his fingertip into the corpse's forehead. The corpse's empty, white eyes snapped towards me. It let out a beastly roar and, wrapped in a foul wind, lunged at an unnaturally fast speed. Its 10 fingers were black and sharp, aiming for my throat. Miller's soul form let out a silent scream, shrinking into a ball. I stood my ground, not even taking a step back. Watching the monstrous corpse lunge at me, my eyes were filled with a burning, cold flame. The surging fortune within me was like an awakening volcano. Without any conscious effort, it had already materialized into a tangible golden light, flowing and roaring silently around me. Just as the corpse's black fingertips were about to touch my skin, voom! A clear cry, so pure it pierced the soul, suddenly echoed through the underground space. The golden light flowing around me suddenly surged and coalesced. A massive, magnificent phoenix, formed of pure golden flame, spread its wings behind me with a deafening roar. Holy majestic, with the power to burn away all the filth in the world. The phoenix's eyes were two leaping, pure gold flames, coldly locked onto the lunging corpse. Scree! Another cry, filled with a judgmental will. The phoenix just flapped its wings slightly, and a shower of fine golden sparks rained down, silently landing on the ferocious corpse. Hiss! Like a red-hot iron on rotten wood. The dark, hard corpse, upon contact with the golden sparks, began to dissolve and disintegrate like snow in the sun. Black smoke billowed with a piercing, corrosive sound. The thick stench instantly replaced by a pure, scorching scent. The corpse's roar died in its throat, its lunge frozen mid-air. Its dark body rapidly collapsed and carbonized in the golden sparks, finally, with a soft poof, turning into a small pile of smoldering black ash that rustled to the ground. The whole process took less than a blink of an eye. The desperate madness on Master Xian's withered face instantly froze, replaced by boundless horror and disbelief. "No, imposible. Phoenix fire? Who are you?" he stammered, his cloudy old eyes staring at the majestic phoenix behind me as if he were seeing his natural predator. "The person who will end you." My voice was calm, but in the afterglow of the phoenix's cry, it carried a godlike, cold authority. A final, savage desperation erupted in Master Xian's eyes. "You want to kill me? Not so easy. We'll die together." He bit his tongue sharply, and a mouthful of thick black blood, filled with his original dark power, sprayed onto the bronze lamp burning with the dark red blood flame. Splat! The blood merged with the flame, and the lamp shook violently. The dark red flame, as if doused in hot oil, exploded several feet high. The thick, blood-colored flame churned, emitting the piercing shrieks of thousands of vengeful ghosts, coalescing into a monstrous, one-horned blood serpent. The serpent was formed entirely of churning, foul blood and resentful souls, its foul stench and the aura of all-consuming filth rushing forward as it opened its massive maw, lunging to devour me and the phoenix behind me. The temperature in the underground space plummeted, the blood-red symbols on the walls flickered wildly, the red light from the ritual circle blindingly bright. Miller's soul form, under this extreme evil pressure, let out a silent, collapsed scream, on the verge of dissipating completely. Faced with this world-destroying, filthy blood serpent, I didn't even move. A thought crossed my mind. Behind me, the magnificent golden phoenix raised its burning head, the flames in its pure gold eyes blazing. It elegantly opened its beak of pure light and flame, and facing the lunging, filthy blood serpent, whoosh! A torrent of golden fire, so condensed, so pure it was like the first light of creation, spewed from the phoenix's mouth. There was no earth-shattering explosion, only absolute purification and annihilation. The golden torrent and the filthy blood serpent collided with a deafening roar. Hissarg! The blood serpent let out an inhumanly piercing shriek. Its massive body, formed of foul blood and resentful souls, upon contact with the golden fire, began to melt and evaporate like snow in the sun. The churning blood was directly purified into nothingness. The entangled souls let out shrieks of release in the golden light, then dissipated into smoke. It was a complete rout. The dark red blood flame retreated step by step under the golden light, as if meeting its nemesis. The monstrous blood serpent, after holding on for less than 3 seconds, completely disintegrated in the golden light, turning into a cloud of stinking black smoke that drifted away. The golden torrent continued unabated, like a divine spear, striking the strange bronze lamp in front of Master Xian with pinpoint accuracy. Crack! A crisp sound. The bronze lamp, which had borne countless sins and was the core of the dark ritual, under the phoenix fire, was as fragile as glass, instantly covered in a spiderweb of cracks. No! My lamp! Master Xian shrieked in ultimate despair, his eyes about to burst. The next moment, the lamp exploded. Countless bronze shards, mixed with unburnt dark red blood flame, rained down like a storm. Pft, pft, pft. Most of the shards, carrying the residual evil power, as if they had eyes, viciously pierced into the closest target, Master Xian, who was already suffering a severe backlash from the destruction of his artifact. Arg! A shriek that didn't sound human echoed through the underground. Master Xian's withered body was riddled with holes. The dark red blood flame, like a shadow that couldn't be shaken, crazy burrowed into and burned every wound on his body. He writhed and convulsed on the ground, his flesh quickly charring and carbonizing in the blood flame, emitting a horrific smell of burnt meat mixed with a scorching stench. The blood flame not only burned his body, but also his soul. Backlash! The dark ritual medium he had personally crafted, the lamp shards carrying countless sins, became the final nail in his coffin. I watched coldly as he wailed and struggled in the blood flame he had ignited, finally turning into a small, human-shaped pile of charcoal, his soul completely annihilated in the filthy flame, not even a speck of dust left behind. The dust settled. In the underground space, the nauseating stench and evil aura quickly dissipated in the afterglow of the golden flame. The writhing, blood-red symbols on the walls lost their luster, becoming dull and lifeless. The dark red light of the ritual circle completely extinguished. Dead silence. Only Miller's almost transparent soul form was still trembling violently in the corner from extreme fear, unable to even whimper. I walked to the pile of charcoal, my eyes falling on a bronze shard on the ground that hadn't been completely burned. A faint but familiar, venomous aura lingered on it, belonging to Lydia. It seemed Master Xian had wanted to use her for something at the very end. A wisp of golden flame shot from my fingertip, and the shard instantly turned to smoke. The last bit of karma settled. I turned, my gaze falling on Miller's cowering soul form. Your turn. 1 month later. The sky over the city had never been so blue. News of the Jiang Group's bankruptcy and liquidation was everywhere. The once glamorous Mr. and Mrs. Jiang, for massive financial crimes and for harboring a dark arts practitioner who harmed others, were both imprisoned, facing long sentences and complete ruin. Lydia was diagnosed with severe schizophrenia and disfiguring skin ulcers, and in a high-security ward of a mental institution. She spent her days screaming at the air, cursing at shadows that didn't exist. And Miller? His end came on a dark midnight, as his broken body took its last breath under an abandoned bridge on the outskirts of the city. His sin-filled soul, which I had casually crushed, turned to dust along with him, unknown to anyone. I stood at the floor-to-ceiling window of my newly acquired top-floor office, overlooking the bustling city below. Sunlight streamed through the clean glass, warm and real on my skin. The face reflected in the glass was beautiful, clear, without a trace of shadow, the depths of my eyes holding the calm and power of someone who had been reborn. A knock on the door. "Come in." My assistant opened the door respectfully. "Ms. Lin, Mr. Ethan, is here again. He's been kneeling in the lobby downstairs for 3 hours, saying he wants to see you, to repent to you in person." The assistant's tone held a hint of undisguised contempt. Repent? I picked up the warm coffee on my desk, the steam blurring the cold, sarcastic smile on my lips. "Tell him," my voice was calm, without a ripple, "he should go repent to the high walls of the mental institution. Or, during a prison visit, say it to his future in-laws. My time, Lin's time, is very precious. I don't see trash." The assistant understood immediately. "Understood, Ms. Lin." The door closed softly. I was alone in the huge space. The sun was shining brightly, casting bright patches of light on the floor through the glass. I squinted slightly, feeling the endless, vibrant fortune flowing within me, like a warm tide. The stolen life, I had taken it back with my own hands. The blood debt owed, I had collected it, with interest, through their destruction. From now on, every step I take will be on my own path of glory. The end.